Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bada Show. I am one of your hosts, Dave, and down there in the bottom square is Jim J. Bullock, a.k.a. Chris. Chris, how are you this fine, well, I was going to say in my neck of the woods, wintry day, since I am freezing my biscuits off over here in Dallas,
Sure.
man. Nice little 26-degree day. But,
Oh boy.
oh boy is right. But anyway, how are you, man? What's crack-a-lackin'?
Oh man, it's only 10 a.m. here, but it feels like it's been up like 3 or 4 days already. It's been a one of the mind-boggling mornings where my eyes are crossed and trying to do things that I'm not technically savvy enough to do.
Okay. But you still have all your hair, so signs are good. They're
I do.
positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might have grown a few gray ones.
A few?
Perhaps. One or two. But I've been trying to migrate the old blog back from WordPress to Blogspot.
Breaking news.
Which, yeah, there you go. You heard it here first. And only. It is not an easy process.
Okay.
I think largely because Blogspot isn't really supported so much anymore. You could find a multitude of apps and sites and plugins that'll help you migrate from Blogger to WordPress. But going the other way, it's a little more difficult. I started, yesterday. I had this wild hair to blog again. Haven't blogged in many a moment.
That's good news. I like this very much.
It's something. So I sit down and open up a new post, and I was immediately reminded why I don't do this anymore. Because WordPress, it's a fine platform, and I'm sure it works great for some people. I'm simple. I'm simple and I'm stupid, and I just want to type stuff, stick pictures in there, and hit publish.
Come on, dude. Rage Against the Machine. Don't give them they're a good platform. They're driving you insane.
They are driving me insane.
Okay.
They are. But I can see why people use it. If you're actually trying to monetize your blog or something, I can see why people might migrate to it. It does have a more professional feel. I'm a fake ass. I'm not professional in any way. So I just want to type, hit publish, and there it is.
Yeah.
Hey, everything's cool.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Absolutely. WordPress has never been that way. WordPress is all about formatting, all about code, all about themes, and I just don't have that in me. Something I told you off the air is if you hit enter on WordPress, rather than just going to the next line, it opens up a new clump. So all paragraphs are clumped together. So if you want to stay in that clump, you have to hit tab enter. So I have to remember to do that. Otherwise, it just looks it looks like something I'd write, which is not good.
Okay.
And it's just such a pain in the ass. And I have a way of if you hit one button the wrong way, it messes up the entire post. And I'm sure this is mostly on my end. It's mostly operator error. But on Blogger, I didn't have to worry about that.
Okay.
On Blogger, I had other headaches.
Right.
It is slower. It can be temperamental too, but less so. There are less bells and whistles to get lost and caught up in.
Less self-destruct buttons wired in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because with WordPress, if I center something, it might center everything. And then if I try to move everything back, it won't go. And then it kind of goes to the side and the whole box moves over. It's what the hell did I just do? And you hit the undo button and nothing undoes. And you're oh God, I'm stuck now. So it's I got to open up a new one, copy and paste what I have. It's such a pain in the ass. So I was okay, well, I'm paying $200 a year for WordPress for hosting. Because WordPress in and of itself is free, but if you actually want to host something, actually put something on it, you have to find a hosting company and pay them a subscription to do it. And that's $200 a year. And on top of that, I have the Podbean thing, which is $150 a year. So it's I haven't said a whole lot of anything on any of my little platforms. So it's I'm paying upwards of $400 a year for no reason at all.
Must be nice to be a high roller, man.
Right?
Look at you.
Yeah, and I mean, the domain name is like $12 a year, so that's no big deal. But it's like, okay, I want to move back over to Blogger. It's free. It's easier for me to use, and the bells and whistles, man. I can make my WordPress blog look great for about a day. You know, I can edit everything. I can go. You go deep into the code to adjust a theme. You know, like you want all your thumbnails to be uniform. If you want everything to look very professional, you could do it.
Uh-huh.
But WordPress themes update and undo all your changes like twice a week. So I would have to go in and the code changes. So like if you go into like one element of the code to do the change, when the theme updates, that element might not be there anymore, or it might be in a different place. So you have to like search for it, and it might be differently worded in the, you know, in like in the little brackets. So you have to like try to finagle which one it is. And like I said, that's twice a week. A lot of these things update and undo everything you changed. And if you choose not to update, you lose functionality. So like I can go on and it'll look like, what is that, Notepad? You know,
Yeah.
Notepad on Windows?
Sure.
Like I've gone to the blog and it looked like a Notepad. Like where like there's no wrapping text. It's like one long line. It's like, what the is, I had to update the theme. So when you update the theme, it undoes all your changes, and then you're back to like a mishmash of crap.
Well, Chris, can I be honest with you here for a moment?
It,
First off, I'm very excited you want to start writing again. This is awesome news.
yeah, it's
It
something.
is something, right? You downplay it, but I swear to God, legitimately good news. The only problem is blogging in itself years ago started out as a format that people didn't take seriously. Then a few people made a few bucks on it, and then all of a
Sure.
sudden everybody has a blog. And now here we
yeah.
are in the 2025, and blogging is
Passe.
it's a little bit of Sanskrit, bro.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's old
It is
media.
very,
Yeah.
very old media because people do not have the attention span. They don't.
To read.
Dude,
yeah.
even our news has to be thrown at us in blurbs and bites and snack size and snippets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe it'd just be easier to import everything over to TikTok. You know? I mean, really, I bet you like one of these like newfangled social media platforms has such an easier way to import previous
Oh, I'm
forms of
sure.
content, whatever they may be, than the actual ones that are legitimate for and intended for
purpose.
blogging. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
So that's why you're kind of stuck, man. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you might have to think about Chris's on Infinite Earths as like a live stream, or
There you go.
yeah, something completely different. Because the written word, man, geez, in about 10 years,
Who's got time for
no
that?
one's going to be able to read, right?
It's true.
Just put the
It's very
chip
possible.
into our heads, and we'll watch everything in front of our eyes.
Yeah. So this morning I started by doing things the old-fashioned Chris way, which is the most obtuse and difficult.
Okay.
So I moved from Blogger to WordPress on Halloween 2021. So like 3 and change years ago. There's probably been like several hundred posts since then. So I get up this morning at like 5 in the morning, and I'm copying and pasting from WordPress into Blogger, each individual post. And I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. And then I go through the rigmarole of trying to find transferring tools and apps and all sorts of exporting deals and gimmicks, and I come to the conclusion at the end of that I think I had it the right way the first time.
Oh boy.
So it looks like I'm going to have to copy and paste
Okay.
tens of thousands of words from WordPress into Blogger, and then move the redirect, the domain chrisisoninfinite.com back to Blogger, cut ties with the Bluehost or DreamHost or wherever the hell I'm hosted
Okay.
through, and hope for the best. Because one of the things that sucks is that when I moved everything over to WordPress, all the links broke. So, like, the one post that I think of is my Action Comics Daily Postmortem, which was the post I did right after I finished all of Action Comics Weekly. There were probably, 300 links on that page. because everything was broken down by issue and also by sub story. So it's like, hey, you want to read all the Black Canary for whatever reason? Here it
Yeah.
is, and it's a bunch of the covers all Black Canary themed. Boom, there you go, you got it. All those links are broken, so it's like that's a useless page now. My old index, my review index. Every time I finished a post, I'd go to a page called the review index, and I would pop in every single review I did.
Yeah.
So if you want to read an Action Comics review, you go to this review index page and, oh, okay, here's all the Action Comics.
Organized for your reading pleasure.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So there were probably, thousands of links on that page. 0 of them work. So it's like, I'd like that to work again.
Why don't you just contact customer service and then wait for the 2.5 weeks for someone to email you back and just say you're screwed?
Well, the thing with blogging is there are forums.
Okay, yes.
Where you don't have to wait the 2 weeks to be told you're screwed. You could wait like 5 minutes to be told you're screwed.
So you've done that.
Oh, yeah.
You got screwed on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Wonderful.
I did. You heard it here first. Yeah. But
by the way, Bada Bin is now a paid-for subscription model.
Yes.
Just for that reason alone.
I have to pay $30 a week for Bada Bin to be a thing.
To get screwed on it.
To get screwed on it. But it's like there's a kinship in blogging.
Okay.
It's a solitary thing, but there's also a kinship because you can go to these forums and you can find out that you're not alone in being told you're screwed.
Okay.
And being told it's your fault. It's like, hey, I'm having this problem. That's and from the Google experts, it'll be like, yes, that is a user error, and it's like, no, if we all have it, it's not us.
Okay.
But it is what it is. You're not going to get help from a gold level Google expert.
Chili Dog Guy 1 writes, "Hey man,
yes.
This is what you got to do.
If you want an interview with me,
yeah, there you go,
asshole."
Well,
yeah.
But the whole important thing is that you're working on it. Come hell or high water, you will import everything over to Blogger, and the text will be there for the generations to read in the future.
And Chris is on Infinite Earths will be back to its ugly orange format before long. Well, maybe not before long, but
okay. Yeah. All right.
With maybe new content.
Hey, that's great. The color. I don't think the color scheme is super important. I don't think anybody goes on a blog and goes, "Damn it, this is orange. I can't read this crap."
They might.
Yeah, maybe one person who has like a phobia or something of the color orange. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's all about what the content is.
It's true.
Less about the design.
But speaking of the content, this led me to go down, memory lane.
Oh boy, my favorite place.
And Nostalgia Corner and Back in the Day Lane and Boulevard. Yeah. And I was gonna suggest a what are those things? Segment. That's what we have here on the show.
Okay.
A segment called something like Zen and the Art of Comic Book Podcasting. Where we talk about our life and times doing what we do. Because I don't think we've ever talked about that even together. We I don't know how you started. I don't know if you know how I started. I don't know if we've even talked about that kind of stuff. Don't know that it'll be terribly interesting for anybody but us and maybe Chris, you. But we do what we want.
You're true. But you also know what we're going to have to do with that.
What's that? Make a graphic.
Well, yes.
Oh, put a pin
in it, and then we might come back to that later. But yes, the humble origins of going on the internet and talking about the things that we love and no one listens to.
I was given this odd, in my face reminder of how optimistic and excited I was to write about this stuff and to talk about this stuff. And how that changed and became a monster unto itself. Yep. It became a chore, and it became my tone changed. It's very weird. And certain things happened in life and in the hobby that changed me. But it was weird actually seeing it firsthand, where it's where did that voice come from? Hey, Chris, you was in the stands. He's in the crowd.
He's in the bleacher
And,
seats. Hey,
yes,
real quick,
he's got a
just to
yes.
follow up on that. So you're saying that there was like a post in
Mhm.
particular that maybe you came across, and you're like, that might have been the catalyst, or this issue might have been the one that kind of like I got more jaded, or
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
there were some like that, where one like the cardinal sin of writing and doing what we do, to me, one of the cardinal sins, and there are a few. Lack of passion is one thing, but passive aggression is another. And I never wanted to be the passive aggressive guy, but I found myself being
Dude,
that.
my plasma is passive aggressive. Are you kidding me?
Dude,
I
it's
don't
like,
exist without passive aggressiveness. It just doesn't. I would
I
turn to
know.
dust.
But I'm like reading it and I'm like cringing. I'm like, God, I'm a grown man. Why am I being such a bitch? You know? Like I actually put in a post like, it's like, I don't know why I'm writing this. Nobody's reading it anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell was wrong with
I don't
me?
know.
It's like, how pathetic is that
I don't
shit?
think it's pathetic at all, man. You were being authentic at the time.
I
You know what I mean?
guess,
Like
but
you
it's
were.
like, but who wants to read that? Who wants to be shamed? It's like, oh, I should support this idiot more. It felt very petulant and passive aggressive. And like I could tell when some of those changes happened. A lot of those changes were based on the climate of comics, the climate of comics commentary, because there were a lot of eye-opening moments as I danced closer with, I don't want to say movers and shakers, but people who do this, people who do what we do, where you find out how tribal a lot of the fandom is.
Yeah, but there's something to
And
be
how-
said, man. And I'm sorry for jumping in
Sure.
here. Like,
No.
I
Please, feel free.
understand what your point where it's like, who wants to read this? This guy being like a negative Nilly or being
Being a bitch.
right out of the gate. I understand that, but there's also
Yeah.
something to be said about being straightforward compared to
Sure.
because walking on eggshells. Because how many times
True,
have we,
true.
even on this very program, and I think we try to be as authentic and organic as humanly possible here.
Sure.
Do we
sure.
pull out a comic and then we're like, well, we give this guy a little bit of leeway because he's written some good stuff in the past. He's written some, you know what I mean? We're always kind of like
Sure.
waffling a little bit, trying to be
We're fancy.
trying to be a little bit more fair.
Sure.
But sometimes you kind of you just got to call things for what they are. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. So there's always something to be said.
Carrie Bates might.
Oh, we'll get into that a little bit later, guaranteed. But yeah, man, sometimes there's something to be said about just putting it out there and who you are at that time. And I get it. Now, maybe
Sure.
that might be more akin to like what Stan Lee used to say, like every comic is someone's first comic. So maybe that's
Yeah.
not the first impression you want to make. In that sense, I get that. But if you do
Yeah.
have any longtime readers or anything of that nature, or watchers or listeners, they should probably accept you for being you.
Perhaps.
I would hope so.
Yeah, it's like I did a post on an issue of Justice League Task Force.
Okay.
Who cares about Justice League Task Force? Nobody.
Let's talk about Justice League Task Force guy would
there
beg
you
to
go.
differ
But it was yeah.
on Twitter.
But there was a subplot in it where Ronnie Raymond, Firestorm, was they decided to give him cancer.
Oh no.
Because of the radioactivity and all that
Oh
kind
yeah.
of stuff.
Oh no.
And I got a comment from someone asking me if I checked with the Firestorm guy online
Oh.
if it was okay to write this blog post.
So I was right on the money with that one, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because, and I mean, there is a Firestorm guy, a really nice guy. I've had a few interactions with him. Real sweet dude.
Yeah.
Real nice
Okay.
guy. Real supportive guy. But the fan of his was like, you really should have checked with him before you did this. It's like, what? The tribalism is so
Yeah.
weird.
Agreed. Like what are you supposed to like get authorized? What needed to be
Yeah,
stamped?
like-
I don't really understand. You're writing about something that was published.
Right?
Do you need his expertise on it? What are you
I
supposed to
think
be
I just need
verifying?
his nod. I need his nod.
He's gonna knight you. He's gonna pull out a sword and put it on your shoulders.
You may discuss this character.
You may discuss Ronnie Raymond's cancer diagnosis. Yes, indeed. Like what?
Yeah.
I don't get it. So, do you have that person's name?
It might be on a comment on the
I
blog.
want to. You know what? Screw that guy. Screw you. Firestorm friend 1212. Screw you, man.
Yeah, because I mean, Shag is the Firestorm guy online.
Okay.
He has his podcast and everything. Real sweet guy.
Yeah.
I've only had a few.
Yeah, you mentioned that, but his fans are pieces of crap.
Or this one at least.
Just being I'm just playing it up, but this one in particular.
But it was just like it was a real. It was like an awakening. It's like, wow. I mean, I'm a nobody. You know, I'm getting like 4 hits a day, and it's like, and one of the people who read this felt the need to reach out and tell me, "Hey, don't do that."
Yeah. Well.
It's just
I get it.
I don't get it.
I get it. I understand it. It's like our personalities, right? Human beings, how fragile we can be, especially when we put ourselves out there. How many times have you heard someone saying like, "Oh, I just got divorced. I'm afraid to hit the dating scene because I couldn't bear to be rejected." It's the same thing when you put whatever you create or you comment on or review online.
Yeah.
But then there's, I've got this gene that says, F it. I was going to say screw it again, but if I did that, then we would literally have to charge people for watching the Bada Bin show.
That's true.
This would be badabinhub.com instead. But like my son, every kid now, they want to be, and I apologize if I brought this up before.
No.
Oh, yeah, man, I want to be a TikTok star. I want to be on YouTube. I want to stream my video games. I want to do whatever.
Sure.
All right, man, here's my only advice for you. And this is the way I approach everything I do, pretty much. I'll say 99% because I am 1% hypocrite all the time. But still, you go into it, you do you. You do what makes you happy.
Sure.
You know, like this show that we do, man, it's us just shooting the breeze, just two pals. We've been friends for a long time talking about crap that we like or things that piss us off or whatever. And if you get 1 like, great. You get 0, meh. It is what it is. As long as you feel good that you're doing what you do, that's all that matters. That's what the internet's there for, man.
For
and
sure.
I did say 1% hypocrite because maybe we'll follow up on this later. How I put some of that fanfic online and I didn't get much of a response to it, so I assumed it just wasn't good. Chris, you actually contacted us and wrote a nice email with some constructive criticism for my writing and stuff like that. So that's why I said, 1%, I do care a little bit, but in the same time...
Of course. Because, you're putting effort into something. You're putting time into something. You're putting your heart into something. You do want, maybe not so much a return on your investment, but something.
Yeah. And, some people say, hey, man, even if it's like negative stuff, at least people are talking about you. And that's good too, I guess. So I don't know, man. I've never really had a situation other than maybe with like a comic creator and who getting pissed off that I made a comment on something. But I don't really get a lot of negative criticism about me ever in any way. I'm handsome. I'm charismatic.
There you go.
There's a lot of stuff going for me.
Yeah.
Look at this face.
Who could hate that? Now I had a lot of clapback during the latter episodes of X-Lapsed. There was like almost an organized thing.
Yeah.
that we won't go into.
No,
but it was but I was already kind of like far off at that point. I was like, relatively speaking, I was spitting fire at that point. I was just like done with everything. The thing that I noticed, it's weird when Reggie passed. Selfishly, I said like, I don't want people to like come back to this moment and say, oh, he was never the same after this. But I wasn't.
Hey, man.
I wasn't. It was very different, and it was. I don't know if we talked about this on the air or even at all. I might be shower monologues. I'm remembering.
You got plenty of those.
It's true. Anger is like the only emotion that I was able to kind of wrap my hands around and be like, okay, I understand this. So when Reggie passed, I didn't, and I still don't know how to grieve. I've had to grieve a few things even since then, and I don't know how to do it. Because I was talking to my therapist about it even, and she's like, well, grieving never ends. So it's like, it's not like everything I like to do, living an epilogue, I need to check things off. I did this. Okay, I'm done with it. Grieving never ends. It's just learning to live with the grief, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do that. Um, so when he passed, a lot of things happened even that very day that made me mad. And I was able to kind of like latch on to that anger, and it transformed my writing and my podcasting. There was less optimism in it. There was more cynicism in it. There was just more anger in it. The passive part of passive aggression was kind of falling off. It just became aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I don't think I've told anybody about some of the messages I got the day he died. 99% good. But there were a couple of shitty ones in there.
Yeah.
You know, I remember like one of the first things I wanted to do was shut the Patreon down after he passed, because it's like I don't want people, I don't want to take money from people because I don't know how to get the money. It was all going. He was sorting that out. So it was kind of like you hear those stories like the couple that's married for 50 years and then the husband dies and the wife is like, I don't know where the money is.
Sure.
I don't know what day the bills are due.
Yeah, right.
I was that wife, So I fought through all this stuff to get the password and close the Patreon down and get into our Gmail account, which is the Weird Comics History one that I use now. And in like the minutes after he died, we lost like 10 patrons. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, wow. Not that I wanted their money, but it was just like,
geez, like, oh, he's dead. I don't have to pay for this anymore.
It's like, the body literally wasn't cold.
Yeah.
And like these people's first impulse is to cancel their Patreon subscription. And again, I didn't want the money. I didn't want the Patreon.
I understand. I get you. I follow you. It's just,
but it was just,
excuse me.
It was just kind of gross to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to tell people what to do with their money and how to grieve, because I don't know how to grieve. But I also, that day, I opened up my DMs on Twitter. Mm-hmm. You could do that where it's like, DMs could be from anybody, they don't have to follow you or anything. Because I wanted to collect everybody's thoughts about Reggie, so I could, digesticize them and get them to his family. And most of them were very nice. A lot of comics professionals who knew of us, or had listened to us, or were just being nice, sent wonderful, wonderful thoughts. But there were a couple that were like, one that I'll never forget was, we lost the wrong one.
Oh, Jesus. Man.
Yeah. Yeah. And nothing more to see here.
Signed, Firestorm fans, friends, 1212. Yeah. That dick.
And I mean, yeah, right. It was just kind of eye-opening. Mm-hmm. Again, not that I need praise or nothing. It was just, there's a time and place.
Exactly, right. And that was not the time to display the complete savagery of being a failed society. But alas, here we are.
You just remember that the internet's full of people, not, avatars and whatnot. So it's, there you go. But it was just very, very eye-opening to me. And it kind of embedded itself in me and really changed the way that I functioned online. Mm. I didn't realize it at the time. It made me mad, and I was okay with that because I could redirect. I don't have to be sad now. I could be pissed off. But with hindsight and looking back at like that time, I can actually see where, the sweetness was leaving my tongue.
Where the shift happened, the continental drift.
Yeah. No more Pangea.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was just so weird being able to actually pinpoint some things. And there are more, but we'll talk about that another time. But it was a very educational morning.
Yeah.
and it really brought a lot of things to the forefront of my mind. And it was weird. It was kind of like those like a TV show where someone has amnesia and they're bonked on the head again, and all the memories come back
Yeah.
at once. It was like that. It was like that. Like I could hear the. It's like just memories hitting me.
Re-uploading.
And it was.
It's
Yeah,
great that your
no
brain
joke.
works better than Blogger does.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I uploaded everything here.
Exactly.
But it's like I remembered actually where I was when I saw those messages.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wife and I were walking because it was during the pandemic and you really couldn't leave your house very much, so we walked every night. And I was walking past a high school nearby here. And that's where, like, because I turned my notifications on. Because I always have them off because I don't really get much contact anyway.
Yeah.
But this I wanted to have so I could reply to people and let them know that I appreciated them and what they said and that I was going to get their messages where they needed to go. And some people just wanted to know how I was doing. So I wanted to be able to tell them. So I turned my notifications on and we were walking past Liberty High School down the block. And that's when I got we lost the wrong one. I was like, wow.
And that's when you smashed the windows on the school.
Yeah.
So, screw you, kids.
That's when I spent the night in jail.
You guys are all home learning anyway. I'm going to smash the windows
There
of
you
your
go.
stupid Liberty school.
There
Yeah.
you go. But it was weird. And it's also like weird how it, like Reggie and I were close. We were pals. I said that I spent more time with him than anybody but my wife for like 5 years. But like we weren't interchangeable. You know, Reggie had a lot of friends. I did not. Reggie had a lot of interests. I did not. You know, comics is just one of the things he did.
Right.
And he happened to do that with me and other people. So it's like weird that people like it's very binary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, well, we lost one, but I could wish we lost the other one instead.
Ay, caramba.
Yeah, very weird.
You know, though,
but
I'm sorry, but speaking of the differences, it's like, you know, we're friends. We've been friends for a long time. And we both
Sure,
have different
sure.
interests. I mean, I like sports, obviously. I love football, fantasy football. And like your thing,
Sure.
I could never really get into, but you're so adamant about caring for is the snuff films. And, you know,
I paid $1 million to get that.
oh, did you? He's like, man, I am a very, very collector of Swedish snuff film. I like very much, very much. Yes.
Who was that? Was that the God? There was like that. It wasn't Larry Flint. It was like a different guy who had like a smut mag who had like a $1 million bounty on a real snuff film. I don't remember exactly who it was.
It
though.
should have been Larry Flint. Would have made it better.
Maybe it was. It might have been, but it was.
What's his name from
I don't think it
Penthouse?
was.
I can't think of his name now. I'm sorry, I'm not like up to snuff on my purveyors of porn. Of course, Larry Flint being the most prominent. But there was that other guy who was always like he was willing to pay for photos of things and stuff. I can't.
It might have been him.
Don't make me Google this because I don't want to have to scrub my browser.
You don't want that on your search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Larry
But
Flint.
we'll just say some prominent
Yeah.
smut peddler
That's right.
wanted to see snuff.
My buddy, I guess it's kind of weird and coincidental, but because he was my podcast partner, he also passed away. But he did a mean Larry Flint impersonation. And he'd always talk about the time he saw a news clip where Larry Flint was going to open up a coffee shop. And I guess this was legitimate. This was real. And Larry Flint, you know,
Okay.
he's like, yeah, so you can come in. You can
Yeah.
get a latte and a dildo. I was like, what? Seriously? And every time he brought it up, it always made me laugh. Because he did way better than I do, of course, as far as the impersonation business. But I'm like, man, Larry Flint, he was something else, man. Jeez Louise. And I'm totally expecting Chris Yu to be able to jump into the chat and tell us the name of the publisher of Penthouse Magazine.
There you go.
Because I know he is like on point with that stuff. He knows everybody in that side of the business. So, yeah, expect nothing less. So keep an eye on that chat there, Chris, okay?
My eyes are in the chair.
All right. What do you say we transition now?
Yes, we'll leave this high point
Yes.
in the show, and we'll go into.
Well, no, I mean,
and apologies for tangent.
no, man, it's cool. Like, what did I just say? You are who you are. I am who we just do what we do. This is a non-profit organization or enterprise
Yes.
where it's just two pals shooting the breeze,
Cutting it up.
chewing the fat,
Yep.
bro. I mean, we do have plans. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
We do.
We're not the most.
We have a format.
Well, I was gonna say slow your roll, man. Loosely is very loose here, but we are based off of comic book fandom. I got a new shipment of comics in.
Hey,
You
me too.
did too. Now today is officially New Comic Book Day since it's Wednesday, so ours are also a week old, maybe older.
Old.
You get your shipment every month.
Bob Guccione.
There we go. Did he comment? Was it Chris Yu? Are you
Yes.
serious? Dude. Boom. Fist bump.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there we go. Dude, Bob Guccione, I knew it. See, that's the thing. It was in here somewhere, but
Just some.
I've sanitized my brain enough, being a domesticated dad, that all that stuff I probably knew when I was 16, 17, 18, that smut stuff was gone. But Chris Yu, man, he dusted that freaking file cabinet off real quick. Anyway, yeah, comics.
Found that guy in the woods who had the stack.
Dude, I'm sorry now. You just made me do it. Because yet again, my friend Nate, what he'd always say is there was like a Johnny Appleseed of porn.
There, yeah.
That you go into the woods, like, for whatever reason. Because when you're a teenager in the 90s, you get nothing better to do. There was no
Especially in
internet.
the Northeast. It's what you do.
You just go wander around the woods. And sure as heck, man, there'd be like scattered pieces of porn. Like some homeless guy was pleasuring himself so much that he had to rip a page out and just throw it in the woods.
It was the diaper man.
The diaper man. So yes.
We had the diaper man who lived behind the school.
diaper
That was the
man.
urban legend.
Okay.
The diaper man.
We had a guy named Squingini, but we'll put a pin in Squingini too.
And the diaper
And the Diaper Man and the Johnny Appleseed of porn, and get back into the comics, which I keep screaming comics
A stack.
until we talk about comics. So you get yours once a month. I get mine every 2 weeks. I did not get the hardiest pull this time around. I think I only got like 8 new books, but what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I read 7 of them. Look at me,
Hey.
Ma. I'm a contender. But I think what we should lead off with when we discuss new books is something that we both read. Not
Yes.
together. We weren't hand in hand when doing so, but we definitely have opinions on a little book. A brand new, of course, it's got to be, #1 from the hero, DC hero Aquaman. Look at that.
There he is.
Twinsies. Now, of course, whenever you start discussing Aquaman, it's probably important to note, where are all the Aquaman fans at? We joke about tumbleweed. No, what would be the underwater equivalent of a tumbleweed? It would be like a coral, just kind of rolling across the seafloor.
Kelp.
There we go, kelp. But yeah, Aquaman isn't
Kelpweed.
like, dude. In all my time online, I find it nearly impossible to cite any instance of going, dude, that guy, he gets Aquaman, bro. Like, he's not the Firestorm guy, he's the Aquaman guy. I gotta get his blessing before I flush my goldfish down the toilet. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true.
So it's a tough sell sometimes with Aquaman, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. Do you have any experiences with Aquaman? Any previous runs? Anything of that nature that you can kind of cite as sticking your toe in the water, if you will?
I think the first Aquaman, I actually bought we talked about this a bit ago. The Rick Veitch volume that came out of what was it, the Obsidian War, or whatever the hell it was in JLA, where he came back to life and he had the water hand.
Yes.
That was the first #1 I think I bought in real time, and did not care for it. Thought it was very dull. I think I probably collected like 3 or 4 issues, dropped it, and then came back when Busiek came on to do like Sword of Atlantis. That was even more boring, in my opinion. So I didn't stick with that one very long. In the years since, I did go back and grab some of the Peter David. I think I grabbed all the Peter David. And I remember enjoying what I read of it, for whatever that's worth.
Well, real quick about the Peter David run. I only have little scatterings of it, but what I like the most, and the reason why I want to bring this up now so I don't forget it, there was an artist on that series, a lot of people know him from Marvel's Exiles, named Jim Caliafore. And Jim Caliafore, he was a fantastic artist of his era, man. And I swear to you, like, I just like saying...
Very square chins.
He did, but I really enjoyed his art back in the day. So when I saw Caliafore, Isabella Rossellini. When I saw that on the cover of a book,
Dave Foley?
yes, he looks just. You're right. He looks like Dave Foley, or you could say David Letterman, who would always every night just love to say Isabella Rossellini. But yes, Jim Caliafore, man, he would sell me a book if I knew he was on the book. So
I haven't seen anything from him since, well, like Secret Six?
I don't know, man. It's been quite a long time since I saw him on a book, and even if he
Over a
was,
decade.
it wasn't enough to sell me on the book anymore, like it would have when I was 20 years old.
Sure.
Oh,
Jim
you're
Let's see if
Googling.
he's,
Look at you go.
Yes. He was born in the year 1900, so he's 125 years
Good,
old.
makes sense.
Wikipedia.
Yes, all right.
Wow, he's an old man now. 125.
Yeah, well,
Let's see here.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Jim Caliafore.
He hasn't done a whole heck of a lot since then, huh?
I don't know, man.
Wow, he might. Wow, Secret Six is like the newest thing that he did.
Okay. Maybe he'll
Weird.
jump in the chat and it's like, don't say my name like that, a-hole. It's
He might.
Caliafor or whatever. And I'm just like,
He does have a website.
okay, you going to visit it? You going to
He
check
is-
it out?
I'm there now.
Ooh, hot potato
Let's see
coming
here.
through.
In mid 2012, he tried something a little different. He painted. He started painting.
Okay.
And his paintings are actually quite nice. They're very they let's see here. He says he calls it Jackson Pollock meets pop art.
Okay.
So it is superheroes, but in a Pollocky sort of way.
So if I was eating at a big boy restaurant, they'd be hanging above my table for sale. Or if you went to a
Perhaps.
Buc-ee's bathroom, they'd be in the hallway as you entered the bathroom.
Perhaps, and I don't. We can actually email him. There is a thing to email. So maybe we will email him later and say, "Where you been?"
You know, we've never once broached the topic. Is that the right word for it? Broached?
Broached or breached?
Breached the topic of.
I think it's spelled broached.
Okay. I wish I was wearing a brooch right now. Of ever having a guest on the show or any kind of appearance or anything. I don't think this is the kind of show for that.
No, probably
But
not.
for some reason, I would be totally enthralled by the fact that he would come on our airwaves and I could go, Jim Caliafore, how are you today? How are you, man? You know?
It would be great if he came back with just as thick an accent.
Yeah, it'd sound like Triumph the Comic Dog or something. He'd be like, you know what? No. No. Click.
I ain't playing.
Bye. So long. Buy a painting.
Thanks for coming, Jim.
Yeah. Good seeing you. Thanks for all the memories. So now, Aquaman. All right, so Peter David's run is considered like a seminal, very important run. I know a lot of people who, when they don't care about Aquaman very much, they can, in fact, cite that run as being something that they did kind of nibble at, you know, and check out. But yeah, man, it's a tough sell, I think. There was even a show called Entourage. Do you remember that show on HBO?
Vaguely.
I'm sure you never watched it, but it's about this kid from New York. I want to say Brooklyn, but I don't know if I have the right borough. And he becomes famous, and that's why it's called Entourage. He takes his friends with him to Hollywood, and one of the starring roles he gets is as Aquaman in like a James Cameron movie. Now, of course, since then, we have, in fact, had Aquaman movies, but during the Entourage run, it was considered like a joke. Like, seriously, they're making an Aquaman movie of all superheroes? Or even then, Dr. Katz, which was an animated show on Comedy Central, where he would, you know, talk with celebrities.
Have sessions.
Sessions with celebrities and stuff. Dave Chappelle famously had an episode talking about how lame Aquaman truly was because of your favorite gimmick. But
he talks to fish.
He talks to fish. Hi, Aquaman. You know, that whole thing. So there's not a lot of love or respect for Aquaman. And if you think about the history and the publishing history, you know, was it Nick Hardy, Jim Aparo? You know, there's been some titans.
Some great artists.
Yeah, you know,
absolutely
associated. Well, I believe it was Cardi. I know it was Aparo. So anyway, but again, I'm talking from out of the blue, from the depths here, because I'm not fully in that lore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's my whole point here. Who is? You know?
No, I mean the Johns run out of Flashpoint into the New 52, people usually cite as being good, and it was pretty good for, you know, the first probably first 6 to 10 issues of it. But a lot of that one kind of broke the mold in that I feel like every creator who's come on since then is trying to tell the same story where it's like, hey, we need to prove that Aquaman's not a joke.
Right.
So you will get Aquaman doing something, fantastical, usually surrounded by people going, oh, wow, I thought he just talked to fish. And it's like, we heard it. Please don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's like One Punch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's done over and over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it had impact when Johns did it because he was trying to actually establish this character as being an A-lister.
Mm-hmm.
But all the subsequent attempts at like, hey, he's not a joke. It's like, yeah, we already established that.
Yeah.
Where were you then?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't rebooted that many times since then, have we? But that's one thing that we I think we can agree on with this issue that just came out is they don't have any her he talks to fish.
No, but they are trying.
They sidestepped it.
Right. Yes, indeed.
They didn't sidestep some other stuff, though.
No, and they are trying to establish. And here's the thing: a new status quo, right? What's going on with Arthur? What's new with Aquaman? What is life after?
What's happening in Atlantis?
Yes, after Abpow. He has gained Mera's. I forget what they call it, like the water.
Hydrokinesis. Yeah, he can control. Yeah, he can control water.
Right.
Yeah.
But he is still the king of Atlantis. He's still a monarch,
Sure.
and has these responsibilities that he has to attend to. So it's like a balance of both worlds for him, right? Which okay, great, and I'd be fine with that with the new power set. There's villains that are like water kaiju that seem kind of cool. I'm good with that. The problem is,
at least they looked great.
Yes, exactly. John Timms, dude. I won't go full Dan Mora on it because, like, Dan Mora to me is a saint. I should really get a Dan Mora pendant around my neck.
He'll protect you when you drive.
Exactly. I'll be rubbing it in like dangerous situations. Oh, Dan Mora, protect me. But John Timms, I think, is upper echelon artist.
He's great.
So there's really not much to be said about that other than he's great. Yeah, he's awesome. But when we're talking about the writing,
I don't know art, but I know what I like.
Hey, man, isn't that what it's all about? But talking about the writer here, and I think you want to kind of segue and cut into that because you knew what I was about to say about Jeremy Adams, the writer here. We have talked about his Green Lantern run, and when that kicked off, man, you could have just smothered me in butter and rolled me down the street. I was so excited for that status quo that reminded me of that Dave Gibbons, Len Wein era of the 80s. Yeah. Dude, you sold me. And then like 3 issues in, it's like we're back in space. It's gonna be this Earthbound hero. It's him, dude on planet Earth dealing with like supervillains and stuff, and just like as you mentioned, back in space, and it's gonna be the core drama,
the Spectrum are back,
all of that stuff, and I'm like, what is going on? And it didn't help that they were having villain artists, and everything felt very herky jerky. Yeah. But my point is,
Night Terrors happened.
Night Terrors, exactly. Yeah. But here we go, right? So he took a few issues to destroy the status quo that got me excited. And this one, it took him like 10 pages. Right? I was like, the first 10 pages, man, I'm like, I am in.
This is
I
great.
love what he's doing with this. And then it just...
Because it felt different. It felt different from every other DC book. And then we were reminded that we're like in this Marvel Now era of DC where everything has to come together.
Yes. So this definitely ties into the whole dark side, absolute universe kind of stuff going on here. And I think we're trying to keep this fairly spoiler-free, right?
Somewhat.
Okay. Well, I mean, listen, all you need to do is Google it. I'm sure there's 1,000 spoilers on there for you.
Oh,
so we won't do that, but we will say it definitely... Now, I can't 100% go out there on a limb and say, yes, this is absolute universe stuff, but it definitely feels like it's leaning that way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And look, man, I get it. It's tough, right? You're a writer. You're trying to kick off a new book. You're trying to like also implement a storyline. I understand, but this just felt very disjointed to me. Like this should have lasted. Maybe the old bait and switch should have been like Green Lantern and waited like a couple issues and kind of settled in and focused more on the water kaiju fighting adventure stuff and everything else. The other thing of note, and I'm sorry I'm kind of taking over this review like a bull in a china shop, but they bring up a relic. They bring up an item in here
The
the
Pearl.
Pearl, and there's an item editor's note. Hey, you remember this from Flashpoint Beyond Zero and Brave and the Bold, this and whatever? And I'm like,
Yeah, and like Flash number 780. It's like,
dude, I read
yeah,
Flashpoint Beyond what, like 4 years ago?
2-3 years ago.
I feel
Yeah,
like it was even longer, and even then it was okay, but
sure.
not to the point where I'm remembering the Pearl.
Like you didn't finish reading that story and going like, man, I wonder
What's going on
when
with
that Pearl's
Pearl?
going to show
I
up
tell
again.
it's going to be pulled from Martha Wayne's neck. That's what's going to be
There
up
you
with
go.
that Pearl. That'd probably be very fitting. But yeah, man, like, dude, seriously, I don't know. It almost feels like, and I know I'm probably wrong, but it definitely feels like, hey, man, I wrote this thing a few years ago. I never tied this up. I might as well use it for something. So alas, here we go, Aquaman #1. You know?
And not to spoil anything, but we do get a lot of JLU in it. Like he has to, like, something bad happens, and he has to go confer with Batman and Wonder
True.
Woman, which really stunk of Marvel now.
Please
Where it's
elaborate.
like, I mean, you buy an issue of Spider-Man, and you expect to see Spider-Man, but instead you see something happen to Spider-Man where he has to go to the Avengers and ask for help. We had Indestructible Hulk, which was basically an Iron Man story where Hulk was just in the background. Everybody had to defer to Shield, no matter what. The Fantastic Four were split into two different teams, and they had to check with different, governmental groups in order to do anything. It just felt very much like why are these books even coming out if they have to go to the same people anyway? Just put out 5 issues of Shield a week. And it's like, oh, this is Spider-Man visiting S.H.I.E.L.D. to get permission.
Yeah.
This is the Hulk visiting S.H.I.E.L.D. to get permission. Here we have Aquaman. Something's happening in Atlantis, and he's like, oh, I know. Batman will help.
Yeah, right.
I love Batman, but it's Aquaman's book. Don't make Aquaman the least cool thing in his book.
And it's noted, mind you, that they're useless underwater.
They can't do anything.
Yeah.
So, but what? So why go to Batman and Wonder Woman?
Their sage advice.
Right?
Should I jump into this? Should I do this? Should I?
Yeah.
I'll do whatever Batman says, man.
If he says jump.
I say how high? How many leagues? How many fathoms, rather, should I do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And at how many knots?
How many knots?
Should I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, man, what do you think overall of this book? If you had to give me like a concrete, boom, this is Christopher's end-all be-all review of issue #1 of Aquaman DC All In. Are you all out?
No, it's weird. I actually liked it more than I thought I
Oh.
would, which is a low bar,
Okay.
admittedly. But but it did have those points there where it was just like Marvel now I hated. Where like Uncanny X-Men #1 opens up and the first page is Maria Hill from S.H.I.E.L.D. No. This stunk of that. Bringing up the Pearl was, like you said, it felt like something that was an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
A very convenient afterthought, perhaps, but an afterthought all the same. And tying in with the Absolute stuff, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
Give this universe a half a second to breathe.
That is if they're going there.
become something.
I mean,
It
feels that way.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some symbolism there that is hard to. I mean, even Batman draws attention to it, and he's never wrong. So
yeah.
we'd have to assume it's at least in the realm. It's in the neighborhood of the Absolute Universe, or maybe it's a bait and switch. But even if that is the case, it's not important yet. This feels like the like the one out of 100 variant cover where it's like you have to jump on it right now, otherwise next week it's not going to matter. It's like, oh, we need to do Absolute stuff now because if we wait, maybe people won't be interested anymore.
I feel if it is going in that direction, it's already been established in the DC All-In special that Booster Gold is in that universe.
It's there. Yeah.
When is that going to get touched upon again? I would sincerely hope it's not in one of the main books. Like it's not in, for example, Ultimate Flash. I mean, Ultimate. Ah, you got me. You got me.
There you go.
Absolute Flash #1. Oh, Booster Gold appears in it, much like you were saying, like
Sure.
Maria Hill on page 1.
Yeah.
But you know, is it going to be a special? How is that going to work out? Is it going to be a year down the road?
It's weird because like I'm jumping on DC for going at this too quickly. Where the last time they did something like this, I got on them for taking too long.
Okay.
And that was with the Button.
Oh yeah.
We had Rebirth, Batman finds the Button, and like 2 years later we have Flash, Batman, the Button. It's like 2 years. That's a long damn time. And nothing happened that actually mentioned the Button in between those years. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, remember this thing? Care about it now. It felt like it was a little bit too late. This just feels a little too soon.
Well, as you know, comic books are predominantly written by men, and we know nothing about finding the Button. But I will say this: you liked it, so you're staying subbed. You're going with it.
I already pre-ordered like the next 2 or 3 issues, so I'll stick with it and I'll read it.
Okay.
And we'll see how it goes.
In for a penny, in for a pound. By the story alone on this, I kind of find it. Okay, listen, is it fair? But it's my hard-earned dollar. I could walk away from this.
Sure.
I could.
Let me. What does the blurb say here? It says, "Oh, I don't want to see Challenge of the Unknown." Next time, the Man on the Mountain, the Prophecy, the Blue. Aquaman is back, baby.
The King is back, baby. This is the big headline. But I'm not going to drop it, and I'm going to stick with it for the most embarrassing reason. If you were talking about comics in the late '90s, the artist. Right? Because then it was hip to say, no, man, I'm only here for the story. Only story matters. Yeah. Well, if I'm paying for this book, I want to be entertained thoroughly from, whatever aspect appeals to me. And in this case, John Timms. Listen, man, I suffered through Batman Incorporated, that last run. Which was
the Brisson one?
The Brisson one, which was like, it was okay. Yeah. But Timms was on art, so I just kept plugging away at it. And, okay, that's all fine and dandy. But Aquaman... As far as the debut goes, I think they should have approached it a little bit differently.
It felt like a bunt. It felt like a bunt instead of a swing.
Okay, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I can see that. That's a great sports analogy for not being a sports guy. I'm very impressed.
I watched every minute of the 1986 playoffs and World Series.
You son of a gun. I remember that.
Thank you, Bill Buckner.
No. You know what? He's not a bad guy, though. We forgive him. Because we ended up winning a few, 4 championships since 2004.
And the Mets haven't sniffed it.
Yeah, well, no, there was that Subway series.
The Subway series, yeah.
But alas, I would like to move into another book next, if you don't mind. And I want to stay kind of in theme here, at least in the fishy...
Glub.
Yes,
glub,
in the fishy sense, because I believe I've talked about this Namor book before, at least the first 2 issues.
In passing, for sure.
I might have brought it up.
Yeah.
And I was heavily concerned because it is a Jason Aaron joint.
Sure.
And to be perfectly honest with you, the first couple issues, I was kind of like, I don't know if I like this yet or not. I'm not really sure what I feel about this.
Is that it's almost a joke question, but is that an ongoing?
No.
Oh.
I believe this is only going 8 issues. The most current issue, the one I'm holding in my hands right now, I believe is 6. Yes, it is confirmed. It is, in fact, issue 6. And one thing I know for a fact I've talked about on the show is how much I love Jason Aaron's Punisher run. This has a lot of similarities to that, you see. And the main one, I think that would be the most obvious to anybody reading the Namor series who also read Punisher, is flashbacks. So you have 2 different artists handling chores in this book. One in the main, the current, and the other one doing the flashbacks, which harken to his childhood, how he was raised, and eventually rose to become the king of Atlantis here. And I think the best way for me to describe this book, to be perfectly honest with you, is high fantasy in the 7 Seas. I've also brought up Jason Aaron many a time in the past for talking about inconsistencies in his writing, where sometimes he might hit a home run. See, we did it again. And other times you feel severely let down, and you're not exactly sure what was he thinking. Why was he trying to serve this to you? This, however, has just been an absolute delight and goes straight to the top of the read pile. And it's kind of unfortunate it's not an ongoing, but I guess this is the world that we live in.
True.
Whoa. Sorry, that was the land of confusion. Whoa. Very
Mm-hmm.
late. But
Mm-hmm.
alas, yeah, I do highly recommend people check out Namor for the fact that it is very engrossing, good reading. And if you like stuff like Conan, you know, if
Mm-hmm.
you like that kind of fantasy stuff and really think that kind of lore could be applied to Namor or should be, you're going to dig it, man. Now, I do have to admit there is a very strange, or there was one strange panel though in the most recent
Mm-hmm.
issue that kind of gave me pause, and it really kind of implies that Namor would be a terrible, like, daycare provider or caregiver to your children.
Uh-huh.
And there was a scene where he saved a baby from this brine pool, and to get him away from the evil and nasty stuff going down in the pages of the book, he strapped this baby to either as a porpoise or a dolphin. I couldn't tell you the species, but he literally just wrapped the baby up in some kind of twine, stuck him on a fin, and sent him on his way. So I don't know if I prefer maybe calling a Uber for a toddler compared to just strapping it to a fish or a mammal and just letting it swim away. But alas, Namor knows more than I do, and this is
True.
a significant way of transporting children across the ocean floor. So a little odd.
Should have strapped them to Guy Fieri.
Oh boy, trash can nachos for everybody. Hey, but yeah, I mean, this is, I personally, again, you haven't read it, so I don't have your opinion
No.
on it. But for me, this is one of the hits from Jason Aaron. Whether it's
Very good.
Southern Bastards, which was very good, Punisher, which I think was one of the best Punisher runs ever printed, and now
He do
Namor.
Scalped?
Did he do Scalp? I want to say
I
yes.
want to say he did.
I want to
Yeah.
say he did, but again, I wouldn't be talking from any area of
Yeah.
expertise on that one. But yeah, and that's the other thing. I brought up the fact that it's a flashback series, right? Just like Punisher was. So I can see a lot of people kind of crapping on it and going, "Wait, we've been here before." Like fairly recently, he's using the same mechanics, the same style to write a Namor book as he did with Frank Castle. But you know what, man? If something works, it friggin'
Yeah,
works. You know?
like Tom King in the 9-panel grid.
Ooh, why'd you do that to me? Why? The first Billy Buckner and now Tom King. Geez,
I'm gonna go for the trifecta eventually.
trifecta of therapy that you're sending me to. Holy moly, man. Now, I just clogged up the airwaves with a little bit of a Namor review here. Why don't we
Sure.
kind of alternate? What do you got on your read pile over there?
Oh, let's see here.
Top of the stack.
Something I don't have in the stack. It was
Oh.
an older issue, not an older issue, a few months old issue.
Okay.
That I tried to read because we have the Amazing Spider-Man relaunch coming up.
Yes.
I tried reading the first bit of Joe Kelly's run, which came at the back half of a oversized issue of Amazing Spider-Man, and kind of kicks off the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story. And you didn't read this.
I did not. No,
right?
I actually ended up dropping that Spider-Man book, the Zeb Wells penned
Yeah.
book. It was just not going the direction I was interested in.
No, I wanted to get back into it, but it's like Wells has been on the book for years now, and it's like, do I go back to like the tail end of Beyond and read from there? I don't know if I have that in me. So I figured with Kelly coming on, and I mean the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man isn't all written by Kelly. There's another writer
Correct,
involved.
right.
It's like they alternate, which I don't know this other writer, but it makes it feel like less of an event when it's different writers getting involved. Maybe that's unfair of me to say, but it just feels, I don't know, just doesn't feel as focused, I suppose. It doesn't feel like there's maybe a unified vision.
Well, sorry, I have to
That is where we're
cough
going
here.
with. Sure.
It's like fill an artist, right? It's an obvious change. It's like
Yeah.
and it really, I've mentioned many times, it throws me off my game
It can
when I'm reading,
for sure.
especially if you go from like a higher top tier artist to someone who's okay. It's like,
or just someone with a completely different style.
right. So as far as writing, I think it'd probably be a little bit more subtle, but still you might be able to notice those, differences that would kind of like make
Sure.
you think twice about being fully
Yeah.
vested. My dog is
Yeah.
very upset about this too. Joe Kelly,
I believe
she's
it.
not a fan.
I
We're
believe
talking about
it.
Joe Kelly, and she's rip roaring over there. Quiet, as
But
you were.
I made it through the intro, and it didn't really inspire me to read on. Plus, there was a bit there, and it's a just a me thing. But when we have like the big two writers complaining about capitalism in their comics, it's like, well, you're cashing a check from Disney, and the book that your story is in is $7.99. I don't know.
Okay.
Might just be a me thing. It annoys me. But yeah, that wasn't why I didn't want to continue on, but it didn't help.
Okay.
But it bored me. I don't know that I'll be able to read the Eight Deaths. Maybe I'll try the new #1 when it comes out in a few months. I don't know. It might actually be time for me to cut bait on Spider-Man, which is a toughie.
You know, it really is, because how many times have I gone on this very program and said I'm dying for a really good book of Hulk, of,
The seminal heroes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Aquaman. How many times I said, man,
Sure.
I need a solid Aquaman title. I mean, what is wrong
Yeah.
with the universe? No, but
Mhm.
yeah, these flagship, like you said, seminal characters to
Yeah.
these publishers. I don't know, man, and there must be Joe Kelly fans out there. He keeps getting gigs.
Sure.
And here we go again. I'm going to waffle. He's done some good stuff.
He's written some good stuff,
Yet,
for sure.
there's a lot of stinkers out there too,
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Yeah.
joking with you off air because I was complaining about my job and how I was talking to someone and they're like, "Hey, man, you can't rely on people. So showing up, just showing up is 50%.
Is enough.
Is enough. It's
Yeah.
50% of the job." And how you would talk like, "Oh yeah, Hobby Lobby, just like, how's your back?"
Yep.
That's all they cared about for you to get the job. Well, maybe that's the case with Joe Kelly in some instances where like, hey Joe, you
We've heard your name
yeah,
before.
you still willing to do something? Yeah, sure. Okay, bring him on to
Can you
Spider
just put
Man.
your name on this?
Yeah, exactly. Just bring him in. He's in the park playing chess. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or in the case now, there's been an announcement that Chris Claremont is coming back to write Kitty Pryde and Wolverine book.
Gross.
And that's when I say having a double ARP membership has its privileges.
It might.
It entitles you to come back and write these weird titles that you assume nobody has demanded sequels or follow-ups on, but here we are.
The first Kitty Pryde and Wolverine sucked. Back in the 80s. That was not a good series. That was bad. So we don't need it again.
Okay.
We really don't. But I guess they called him on his landline, or maybe they sent him a message to his AOL.com address.
It was a phone with very big buttons.
Yes.
That's what it was.
It was his consumer cellular that Ted Danson sold him.
Chris Claremont. I'm sorry, but I'm assuming he's got like a regular line. Like he's got a landline, but then the moment his consumer cellular rings, he's like the bat phone man. He's like Commissioner Gordon. What do you need? What X book do you need me to write? I'm here.
Always. But out of my stack here,
Yes, go to the
let's
stack,
see.
please.
What do we want to talk about? Speaking of capitalism, Green Arrow. It actually works in
Hey-o.
Green Arrow's case since that is kind of his character.
Yeah.
Very different from the Williamson run. The Williamson run felt very much comic booky, more spandexy, more tying in with Justice League, more Arrow family type stuff, which was good. It was good stuff. This stuff is also very good. It feels a little bit like a callback to the Grell run, where like there were 2 or 3 issues that were just like kind of episodic, where Ollie would do something. He would team up with a police officer you may never see again. He would go to a place he may never go to again. But in this one, there's like a small town that in their water is being polluted, or was polluted years ago, and there's a killer on the case here trying to take out the corporate fat cats who polluted the water. Story we've seen before, story we've read before. It's funny because like they call the guy, or I don't even know who the killer is just yet, but they're the cold water killer or something like that. And it reminded me of that Ann Nesenti terrible Daredevil story, The Caviar Killer, where it's like
I haven't read it.
You're not missing much. I mean, I'm sure some people dug it. The Nocenti Daredevil run was a bit heavy. but it was a put upon person, blue collar, Joe taking their frustrations out on the power players and movers and shakers and stuff like that. And this harkens to that a little bit, not so much, but a little bit. But it's really good. It's really good. I'm glad I stuck with Green Arrow, and I'm glad they because this is a weird one because it was only supposed to go like 10 issues. It was a mini, and then it became an ongoing somehow.
Can you believe it? Holy moly, they can make that work?
They can do that. Yeah, I never looked at the sales. I haven't looked at sales for anything in ages.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the people demanded it. So
okay, they want to see more stories about the tap water killer who puts fluoride in their water supply. And the people of Flint, Michigan, definitely were probably eager to read about that.
Probably, yes.
But that's good, man. Is Green Arrow is a character I've never been fully vested in. It feels like I'm saying that a lot today. But yeah, it's good to know that he's got a good, solid book out there that gets your approval.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
And that's cool. I mean, he deserves some light to be shined upon him and his quiver.
But one thing here, when the new creator came on a couple issues ago, I think it was the 350th Legacy issue. Yeah, because this is 352. It was the tail end of the Williamson run, and then there was like a lead-in, kind of like the Joe Kelly lead-in in Amazing. And one of the first things Green Arrow does in it, he goes to Batman.
Hey! All-seeing eye, the OMAC there. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know, man. It's such a turn-off. It really is. I got to be honest here. Batman, and we're going to talk, I got some Batman here in my stack, too. We'll talk about in a second.
Me too.
But there's nothing more annoying to me than the because I'm Batman line, or I know everything, I'm playing for everything. I'd like to see him more fallible, more susceptible to
or maybe just not showing up every 5 seconds.
That too, but not being God. That's essentially what he's been established as. This. I mean,
the Bat God.
The Bat God. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Green Arrow. You can do your own thing, buddy.
Yeah.
You've been at this for a while. You don't need to check in with that.
Or how many times has someone been professionally at their job and they know they could call Jimmy for a little advice on how to handle this presentation or whatever, but you're like, do I really want to bother this guy? I don't know. I feel like, he's a good resource to have. I'm going to keep that in my pocket for when I really need
it's in the
it.
Rolodex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But everybody in the DCU is like, hey, man, grab that consumer cellular. Time to call Batman.
Where's Sam Malone at?
Yeah, where is he? Is that all you got to say about GL?
Yeah.
Okay. I never know.
And the art is different. The art is not as traditionally superheroic. It feels kind of turn of the century Vertigo.
Okay.
But good. It fits the story.
Very good.
Yeah.
You just went quiet when I expected you to keep talking, and I was sipping my coffee. So we're going to transition into the next book post haste. Hold on.
Okay. While Dave drinks, I will just narrate the fact that he is drinking. There he goes, putting his mug down, and he's facing the camera again.
Oh, so good.
How does he do it?
So good. I drink so much coffee, it's obscene. Like, obscene. I can't even speak now. It's obscene. It's insane. And
I think you just made a portmanteau accidentally.
Really?
Obscene. Insane and obscene. All in one word.
Here we go. And I'm also fairly obese.
Coin it.
So
yes, coin it.
But TM, copyright. What I was going to
do not steal.
If I lived to be 100 and they asked me, like, hey, man, like, how'd you do it? And be like, dude, vaping and drinking coffee. And say, you lucky son of a bitch. So let's, my turn. Absolute Batman Quattro, number 4. And this one has a fill-in artist. Can you believe it? Stop the insanity.
Really?
Yeah, there's a fill-in artist on this. And
they couldn't even do 5 issues?
Well, with Drake.
Because, I mean, that's the trade, right?
Yeah, I guess so nowadays. You're right. About 5 issues, yeah. To get like your 128 pages in a trade.
Sure.
But this is Gabrielle Walta, who actually has been the artist on a couple series I've enjoyed. Speaking of pearls, okay, Jeremy Adams, clutch yours right now. There was a Tom King series I didn't hate. and that was the Vision series.
Omega Men?
No,
Oh, okay.
Vision, and Walter was the artist on that.
Okay.
Of course, I always viewed Vision as a horror book, not as much as a superhero book. But anyway, and he also does an indie over at Image called Phantom Road. So I am fond of his artwork. This book, issue 4, dives into the backstory of Bruce, about his initial foray into crime fighting, the reasons why he does so, his tragic origin, if you will. And I like Walter's art on this. I really do. The only thing is, speaking of flashbacks, there's plenty of them in here, but there's no like transition or smooth transitions to them. It's just it's just another panel. So in one panel you'll see Bruce current day, and the next panel is just him in a courtroom facing Joe Chill. So you really, it kind of threw me off a little bit in that sense of everything. But overall, I actually really like this issue very much. I think Absolute Batman, albeit I have very limited exposure to the Absolute Universe since I'm only subscribing currently to the 2 titles that are being published. I did jump on Absolute Flash and Martian Manhunter, so I will be checking out those soon enough when they get released.
Yeah, I think I pre-ordered the #1 issues of all of them so far.
But talking about Jason Aaron again, everything's tying into each other. How nice is this?
The niche of a niche.
The niche of a noose around my neck. And, he's doing Absolute Superman, which has been okay. But, I mean, so far, man, that's something I got to admit. When Scott Snyder is firing on all cylinders, he really is a tour de force.
Sure.
And we can joke and talk about, I mean, it's a reality. His finishing isn't that great, so he'd be terrible at the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like if he was on like the high bars spinning around, it's like, and then Scott,
he would land on his ass. Yeah,
totally. You know what I mean? He put on the most masterful display of gymnastics you'd ever see, just a face plant at the end.
But then break his leg.
Exactly. But he is such a quality writer. Like he can do such amazing stuff. Whether, I mean, do you ever read his series, The Wake?
No. That was with Lemire?
No, The Wake was, who was the guy who did the White Knight series?
Murphy.
Sean Gordon Murphy. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That series, again, ended like, But, dude, up until that ending, I'm like, this is just engrossing, amazing material. His Swamp Thing stuff, his Batman run. I mean, on and on.
Oh, the Batman run. It felt like an event almost every issue until the last issue.
You know what I mean? So when he is in it, he is in it. And, dude, he's top of the line stuff. And I think we're getting that here. I really do with Absolute Batman. His blood is pumping. His juices are flowing. And he feels this book. And, dude, this has been a very good read. So, very happy.
I've got 3 and 4 in the stack. I just haven't read them yet.
Okay. I don't know, man. I was going to say, do it right now. I recommend doing it immediately, but you're going to do it at your own time, at your own leisure, and I'll be eager to hear what you have to say about them, because I just did give issue #4 some very high praise.
10 out of 10.
Well, slow down there, guy.
We
do not do 10 out of 10s here. You got to survive the test of time. You got to, if the book's been out for 20 years, I read it then, I can read it now, and it's still mind-blowingly good, then you deserve a 10. That's the big criteria for me when I start doling out perfect scores, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
So what do you got on the docket there, guy?
Feels like something that came out 100 years ago.
Okay, probably did.
But it is, it's this.
Hey! Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah,
please. I read those so no one else had to. What are you doing, man?
You know, we mentioned breaking your leg when you land and face planting.
Yeah, hello.
This was a thud.
Oh, boy.
Dude.
Oh, boy.
I'm thankful that it was weekly. Because can you imagine us talking about that at Thanksgiving this year?
For an entire year of Action Comics.
12 parts.
Just being this ho-hum, very generic story.
And it's a Phantom Zone story that ends the way all Phantom Zone stories end. It's like, oh, they're back in the zone. There's a vacuum cleaner.
That's what I said. A modified vacuum cleaner was essentially the solution.
Dude.
of the story.
And a generic villain who looks like he was like out of like a TSR create your own villain role playing game.
Dude, give Gary Gygax some more freaking credit than that, will you?
It was just like I'm glad it's over.
Dude, you know, my ultimate review of that, and I totally meant it when I said it. Like, I read it so you didn't have to. I think I even sent you a text being like, you don't even need to finish it.
Yeah, skip it.
You can just...
But it was like, too late.
Yeah, whoops. And the whole issue with those, and I'm going to tell you right now, they could have been done in 2 or 3 issues.
Easily.
Boom. Biggity bam, biggity boom.
And more effective.
Dude,
more
for
effective.
real. But it got drawn out and just slowly sucked
And we
the
had the
life
weird-
out of me.
And we like spent all that time with the Kundian stuff with the museum, and it's like, dude. And then like Martian Manhunter shows up for like out of nowhere. Half the Justice League are there, but then they're not, and then they're back again. Way too many pages. Way too many pages.
And hey, I got to apologize in advance. I can hear someone outside my wall like drilling. Can you hear that?
That's fine. They're trying to get in. It's Doomsday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But
you know, like this all could have been saved if they just put the word weekly on the title, on the cover. Why didn't they do that? Because at the end of the issue, like Action Comics Weekly is over. It's like, you didn't call it that.
Right. No, that was definitely so drawn out. It could have been condensed. It could just, I don't know, man.
And been more effective had it been shorter.
It was such a, I don't know. It's you know, we talk about often how nowadays every creator, once you have kind of hit a certain status, it's because you've been given an event, right? You've made it, man. You are top tier. You get your event, and this feels more like it was to appease Wade's ego more than to give pleasure to the audience. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's done like the last 3 events. He's probably going to do the next 3 events.
And Wade, you can never knock the man's credentials.
Sure.
The guy knows more about comics inside and out than the freaking population of the freaking world. I get that. But dude, like this one was not great. I don't know what the hell he was thinking at all. And it hurts my feelings.
And the fact that it wasn't terrible makes it even worse.
It was just boring.
Yeah.
Just so boring. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It was just such a...
Yeah.
Why it didn't need to exist.
Because at least if it was terrible, we could be mad at it.
Here
it's just kind of like...
No, I am mad at it. I'm super pissed at it. Because I don't have freaking dispensable income where I can pay a freaking WordPress $200 a year without posting a damn thing, okay?
Because this is a $5 book, so this is $60 in this one story.
Yeah, if you're
buying it off the off the
if
racks.
you're buying off the racks, and then us it was a $4.99 book, so we were paying $3.24 or something.
Yeah, so it's still near $40.
Yeah, dude, and
that's an expensive.
That's what I'm telling you.
Story
for what I got, and having to pay for that. It's just like, dude, oh, come on, man, you owe us more than that. And then something we did not mention. The backup was the worst piece of junk.
Not good.
Dude, just executed so bad. Like at the end, I was just what I was doing at the end of that run. I just kind of flipped through the backup. I'm like, thank God I'm not reading this. Yeah, dude, massive misfire. So yeah, I am mad about it, and I can be pissed off about it. I want my money back. I want a check from DC Comics. I might have said this before, whether it's about this run or any other book, but this is definitely one. And Doomsday's trying to knock his freaking ass through my door right now because he knows. I want freaking refund. I'll take cash. I don't care. I'll do it.
Well, you take store credit.
You know what? I will because I'm still buying their books. Hell, I got a freaking book, Action Comics right here to talk about next.
There you go. Hit it up.
This is driving me insane. I don't even know what they're doing outside. I'm afraid to peek outside and see what's happening. Dude, my whole house is shaking.
I know it. What are they doing?
You can hear this. Must be very loud, right?
Yeah, I can feel it.
Can you? Right in your jiggly spots? Shut up!
Do it again, sir.
No. Ooh. All right, so...
where's Terror Man at?
We're going to get to Terror Man pretty soon. But yeah, Action Comics number 1082, which just happens to roll off the tongue. What is this MFer doing?
Come in.
Yeah, exactly. maybe you should handle another book, and I'll get back into this one in a second.
Okay.
Sound good? You gotta carry the load of this show because I live in the ghetto, and apparently someone's knocking on my door for some government cheese.
Where young boy cries.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, how about JSA? JSA number 3 here. I don't think you're following JSA. I won't even make you put your mic back on. I don't think you
I am
are.
not, but I did put the mic back on. Yes.
This is it's slow, but it's pretty good. It feels kind of like old school, where we are like establishing the team here. I feel like I'm missing bits and pieces, which I very well might be, since I only skimmed the Jeff Johns stuff, and I don't know, maybe the back half of the story will be heavily reliant on flashbacks. There have been a good deal of flashbacks thus far, but it feels like a pre-Flashpoint book. Like these characters all feel like I think they should. Really don't have anything bad to say about it. The art's weird. It's kind of like a mix between Scott Collins and like maybe a Romita Jr. Let me see if I can find a.
That's quite the amalgam you just described.
Yeah, like check out the face there. Looks Collinsy, but it also looks a little Romita-y, you know. And that's how the book is. It feels like a throwback.
I'm sorry, is that still that artist Diego?
This is Diego Orla. Yeah, Diego O.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to say the last name. But I'm digging it. I'm liking it. I think it's a good run. I'm looking forward to more of it. It's nice having a JSA book again. And it's nice having a JSA book that I can kind of put my finger on and feel like it matters. Where like the Johns stuff, I didn't know where or when any of that was. It just didn't feel. I mean, it could have been a Black Label book for all I knew, and it would have been. I would have received it the same way.
Okay. Dude, they are like lifting my house. I feel like I'm being abducted by freaking aliens.
Oz?
Dude, this is insane. They're doing something to the foundation outside. You're
not allowed to drill into the foundation.
I don't know what the hell they're doing, but it is
non-tension slab.
This is okay, non-tension slab. There is something going on here. So, you know what? I'm just gonna have to grin and bear it, I guess. And excuse me. Seriously.
Golly, they're riding motorcycles.
That's right. It feels like they're riding motorcycles right up my ass. I'm trying.
Just enjoy.
I'm trying to review Action Comics 182 here, you fools. I can yell. They can't hear me because they're drilling so damn loud.
They want to keep the truth off the airwaves about 1082.
Well, the thing was, I'm not about to crap on the issue, so I mean.
Well, there you go. They don't want. Maybe they hated it.
I guess they do because they're not stopping. Everything in my house is shaking. Like seriously, my dog right now is very concerned for her well-being and safety in the corner over there. Not enough.
Coco Beware is going to take.
Yeah, I know, but she's not concerned enough to run or anything like that. But she's still just like, ooh, they've interrupted my nap. God forbid. Yes. All right. So anyway, I'm sorry to the viewing audience now and in the future for these morons outside. Action Comics 182. I'm going to get to the nuts and bolts of the whole thing. I liked it. I think it's one of those situations where I just complained and screamed about how angry I was over the previous run of Action. That probably gave this a boost, to be perfectly honest. I was just so happy to have something different.
Sure.
As far as the story, it's about reformed villains reverting back to criminal behavior. As you can see on the cover here, we have Major Disaster. Actually, it's very nondescript. It could be like anybody who's wet and pissed off, and Superman looking.
He's got his turtleneck though.
Yeah,
so.
true. Yeah,
his weird collar.
I can tell from his zipper.
Yes, his odd collar.
It's noted though this takes place before Absolute Power, which I think is I don't know, man. You kind of want a little more continuity, I would think, between the two Superman books. You kind of want things happening in not real time, but fiction time. Wherein you got Lois as Superwoman and everything else that's going on in Williamson's book, which is fairly interesting. And in many ways, I don't want to say the first word that comes to my mind is like lazy, but it's not necessarily that per se. But how many times can we
just unimportant?
How many times can we cite the '90s and the Superman summits and things of that nature, where they really wanted a cohesive story to stretch
Sure.
between all the titles. And here, the first
Yeah.
thing you get is, oh, and by the way,
This happened in September of last
yeah,
year.
exact. Just so
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I think it was a solid story. And guess what? The best thing about this? Shh,
Hmm.
don't tell anybody. There's no backup story in here. I know. Can you believe it?
Nice.
You actually get a full issue of Action Comics starring Superman.
Crazy.
Oh, see, they stopped hammering. That they can
Hey,
get
they know.
behind.
So,
Yes.
is this? Did this end with a to be continued, or is this a one and
No,
done?
this is gonna. It's an arc.
Okay, it's an
And
arc. Okay.
actually, they actually returned the Superman Superstars tag to the top there.
Yeah, there you go.
So I don't know if you think John Ridley is a superstar or not, but
I don't know who he is, but I'm willing to take a
okay.
chance.
Yeah, I think as far as traditional superhero fare,
Mhm.
this fills that need. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? It's definitely not breaking the mold. It's not doing anything alarming, but sometimes that's just something you got to have in your life. Just an
Sure.
okay story. You getting your money's
Mhm.
worth. Biggity bam, biggity boom, bada bin. You
There
know
you
what I
go.
mean?
I like
Okay.
it.
What do you got, kiddo?
How about the man?
Hey.
Yeah, we're wrapping up the Zosky run, and Batman actually shows up in this. Batman shows up in every issue. But,
This is true.
what did he say about major disaster?
Yeah.
Um,
Nothing.
this
All
is
right. You know what?
this is
5 stars.
following. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. Five stars out of
That's
five.
right.
Now this is continuing the. Oh man, I don't remember the name of the character. Major Star or something like that. It's like a generic, patriotic hero here. Let me see if I can find a picture of him here without spoiling anything. Boy,
Hey, man, full
I don't.
disclosure, I've been
Yeah.
spoiled to that, and I don't sub to that book.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's this guy right here. He's like a generic sort of very. He feels like the way they wrote Guy Gardner back during the Reagan years, where it was like he was very, very gung ho America, and trying to lift people up and stuff like that. Basically, turning people of Gotham against the, I guess, the machine of Gotham. And we find out who he really is at the end of the issue. But a lot of this has to do with a frame job by the Riddler on not Commissioner Gordon, just Jim Gordon now. And, Riddler stories are weird because of the reliance on the riddles and how they might be the easiest stories to tell because you can make yourself look very clever by choosing the right riddles and then suiting the story to fit the riddle. And we get a lot of that here. And not hitting the highs of the earlier part of the Zarsky run, but it's definitely better than the lows of it. It's good. It's good. I enjoyed it, and I'm wondering how they're going to wrap it up because they're moving into the Hush sequel after it's all done. So I'll be there for it.
Okay, groovy.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Guy Gardner in the Reagan era and being just like so pro-America. It's like, dude, have you seen the movie Rambo? That's all you need to know, man. Freaking,
It's
just
it.
pro red, white, and blue. But yeah, he does look very generic as far as he
Yeah.
could be like fighting American or.
And by design.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
And how many issues is left on that? There's just one, right?
It says to be concluded at the
Oh.
end, so I'm thinking it's probably. I don't know if they'll do that, and then maybe like a coda issue for Zarsky to wrap up his run, tie a bow on it before going into Hush. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next book I want to talk about, I probably should have talked about immediately after Aquaman and Namor. And
Oh.
yeah, so I'm actually queuing up a photo here for what we're going to need later. So apologies as I'm clicking and clacking and people are banging outside. But yes, I found
That's what
it.
they do.
Yes, indeed. So, World's Finest, number 35. Another reason why we should have talked about this maybe before is I just rallied against the most recent Action Comics run written by Mark Waid. This book, World's Finest, they did an artist change, right? Dan
Sure.
Mora, awesome. Sainthood. Is that going to drive you crazy? Or should I just keep going?
What?
That banging.
I don't hear any
Oh,
banging.
good. Well, you might be the only one. But anyway, when they switched to Gutierrez...
Banging? What are you even talking about?
Adrian Gutierrez, who has much more of an anime, kind of looser style.
Sure.
I was even like, I don't know, man. This book hasn't been that great for a long time, you know. Other than Dan Mora, should I stick with it? But then you go, geez, this book is, you know, in its 30s. I mean,
That never happens anymore.
how often can you say that?
Yeah.
Hell, the last reigning champion of running numbers was what, Nightwing?
Well, it still is. That's still
Oh,
going.
they kept the numbering.
They
Okay,
did.
thank goodness for Chef Boyardee. But anyway, a lot of loyalty to that from me, my old school nature, right? Well,
Sure.
man, this book just is the crummiest freaking thing.
It's living up to its title, though, because World's Finest was never very
True,
good.
true. You're right.
Yeah.
You can't really cite a run of World's Finest and go, that was important, or that's maybe
No,
a
like
huge
it's
fan.
more. Yeah, it's more like meme worthy. It's like, hey, look at this funny thing that happened in World's Finest because nobody cared about it.
Right, yeah. Dude, I am so close to just snipping this. Because that's the other thing too, is because, you know, it's a $3.99 book, so I get it for $2.59 at my discount.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, it's an only. Why would I cut a $2.59 book to save some money? You know what I mean? It's only it's chump change, $2.59. But dude, they are freaking killing me. And it's Mark Waid. What are you doing to me here, guy? But something I wanted to show you, and what I was queuing up was, I talked Aquaman, I talked Namor, and one of the big differences physically, we can always cite between Namor and Aquaman. The ears. Aquaman largely looks human.
Sure.
Namor, ankle wings, but he's got the pointy ears.
His
there.
elf ears. Yeah.
So in this issue, I don't know if I missed something, because yet again, this is not a current day book. This takes place in an unspecified time. It's the whole premise of the series, which makes it very convenient for, you know, story purposes.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the artist decided to do this, and I was wondering why was this choice made? Where he doesn't necessarily give Arthur super pointy ears to say, yes, this is how he looks, or how he looked then. I don't even know, man. But they're just pointy enough to be mildly annoying. You know what I mean? And was there, I mean, yet again, coming from a point of ignorance, was there ever a part in Aquaman's run where he had pointy ears like that?
I don't think so.
I don't know either.
That's just an ugly an ugly fix.
It's not doing him any favors, that's for sure. And it really just threw me off. I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling this at all. And this one, you're gonna love this. You're gonna get a big kick out of this one. Get ready for the rise from Chris. Let me make sure you're on the screen for this.
Okay.
There's a problem in Atlantis. Stuff is going down, and who does he call on for help?
I wonder.
So he needs Batman and Superman. And here's the other thing. Dude, Mera sends him an announcement. Arthur, we need you here immediately. This is very bad for us, but he takes the time. He waits. He pauses. He doesn't dive into the ocean and zip right over there. He waits for Batman and Robin to suit up.
Nice.
He makes sure they got their proper gear on.
Their gear.
To go under the
PPE.
There we go, man.
Yeah.
And then
PPP under the sea.
And then there ain't nothing stopping him from racing back to his land and saving everybody. So yeah, man, World's Finest, you hurt me so bad. I can't recommend this to anybody. I'm sorry, but it's not. And listen, I guess maybe if you are, and I'm trying to put a positive spin on this. You're a fan of like Silver Age kind of yarns where things maybe necessarily didn't matter from issue to issue, that kind of thing, and you just want some superheroics without a lot of thought behind it, or a lot of logic, or a lot of reason, I'd say go for it. But there are times where Wade gets a little cute and inserts characters that are like Easter egg type characters for fans of lore.
Sure.
There's a pun intended in there. For those who've read this, you might know what I'm talking about, but trying to stay spoiler free. So it's just a weird book where I struggle to find its identity, even when I'm trying to like sell it to someone who it might appeal to. It's just too herky jerky, baby. Back to you,
Yeah.
Chris.
Let's keep it with Marcus Alexander Wade here.
Okay.
Boom.
Hey, I've read that one.
Yeah. Yes, I think you talked about it last time, maybe.
I probably
Maybe.
did. Yes. We
But
don't keep track of those things.
no, we don't. We should, but we don't.
Yeah.
But maybe we shouldn't. Who knows? I remember when I tried the Morrison JLA, and I was always kind of I couldn't get into it because it felt like there was no character involved. It was just action and like awesome visuals, and it just didn't feel. Everybody felt like the movie version of themselves before there were movie versions of them, where like that's where Batman became the Bat God, and it was just like everybody had. What's it? Wonder Woman has like a woodchuck puppet on her lap. I don't know, but it just feels. It felt very.
Cut it out.
Quit it. Yeah, that felt like there was no characterization in it. This feels like even worse.
Okay.
Like you read this one, you talked about it. I'm having a hard time caring about it.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time connecting with it. It like Chris, you said, it's like it feels like, what do you call it, like Superhero City or something like that?
Right. Right.
Because it's like if you go to the Mall of America, take out all the humans and just put superheroes in there, and it's like you walk past them. It's I can't connect with it. It doesn't feel like there's any stakes because there really aren't any. Everybody's there.
You know, I'm seeing like that connective tissue now to World's Finest. You know what I mean? And it's becoming like Wade's thing. Especially when you say like it feels like it doesn't matter, you know, or it feels like it's, I don't know.
Is it supposed to be timeless? Is it supposed to be? I mean, it's clearly not timeless because it's all predicated on absolute power and the absolute omega signs and whatnot. But I don't know.
Yeah, that one, dude. For me, Dan Mora draws it, so it's sold.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a lovely book. It's just one that I have a hard time because I mean, we had a big. Like a shoe drop moment at the end of the first issue, and the character who that was about, did they even show up in the second?
Wait. You lost me because I was fumbling through my books.
Airwave.
Oh, Airwaves. Airwave. He's in there somewhere. Probably like, aw shucks. I wish I could be, respected or something like that. Some of that kind of crap, you know?
I don't know that he's in it because like the coda of the first issue was all about him.
Yeah, I don't remember if he's in issue 3, but if he is, it's probably like, sidekick mode.
Yeah, and we do get like, because they're really living up to the Unlimited bit here, where like they're gonna throw like a weird character in every time. I feel like this one was Dr. Occult. When was the last time anybody heard of a Dr. Occult? And it's like, oh, hey. Remember this guy? Kind of.
Well, that's what I was saying with World's Finest. He does the same thing. It's like a little littering of this random character that you haven't heard about in 10 years or something. And you go, oh, okay, there you go. For the hardcore fans out there, I
Yeah.
I get that reference.
Yeah, next month it'll be Brother Power the Geek.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter will be in issue 5.
I'm sorry, yet again, you go quiet when I'm sipping my coffee. Dude, come on. This is supposed to be a professional operation here.
As if by design.
We got people banging and clanging outside. I can't even give a review without it being noisy, and then I can't rely on my partner to properly segue.
What's going on?
Dude, you got banging going on, too. You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Just don't want to make you feel alone.
Okay, wonderful. I thought that was real. I'm like, someone's trapped in your air vent. Lassie.
No, they're trapped in the oil pan.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Timmy's stuck in the well. So I guess I timed this poorly, just like my sip of coffee. But the last 2 books I have on my pile here are related as far as the fact that they both star, by name at least,
Aquaman.
No, Wolverine. So I got Wolverine, the regular series here, which is in my other hand, number 5. And I have Ultimate Wolverine, number 1. Now, I guess I'll start with maybe...
Don't those Ultimate books they look like they're going to be littering the 50-cent bins.
Really?
Look at just the design.
Yeah, the border and everything, the white border on them just look kind of icky. I'm not super familiar with this new version of the Ultimate Universe. And apparently,
Me either.
there's a villain called the Maker, who time
Wait,
traveled.
that was
Huh?
this is Reed Richards from the original Ultimate
Okay, well
Universe.
there you go.
I think.
It might not be this time. I'm not entirely sure,
Yeah.
but okay. So not being super familiar with this, you can definitely see the parallels to Absolute Power, of course, right?
Sure, sure.
It's a villain's world. We're just living in it, basically.
Mm.
And in this one, the big selling point is what if. How many times have I said everything's a what if or an Elseworlds now? This is the same thing. What if Wolverine was the Winter Soldier? Boom, you get Ultimate Wolverine #1. And
Right.
it was an okay book, kind of looking at it as an alternate universe title. There's nothing in it that I found too special that I would, say this is something I want to follow for many, many years to come. I don't think it's going to last that long.
I think it's a mini.
It might be. Actually, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know what's up,
You
what's
just
down,
don't?
what's red or blue, or I don't know what the hell is going on. But yeah, there's a couple shock and awe moments in here that are not going to last. And of course, the primary thing is, characters that you love will die in the first issue because apparently they don't mean jack diddly poo in the Ultimate Universe. So I guess if that's your thing, this is right up your alley. But I figured I'd try it. Much like I said before, I'm always hungering for certain characters to get decent runs. And I was hoping I might find some Wolverine goodness in Ultimate Wolverine, to which I guess is a C student, if I had to sum it up as anything. Now, in the main title, Wolverine Legacy 397. So we're very close to that big
Oh, we're getting
400, folks. So we'd be paying through the nose for that one. This book, in contrast, I think is pretty solid. A few episodes ago, Chris Yu was asking, what Marvel book would be a recommended read. I suggested Fantastic Four. That fits, checks all the boxes for me as far as what I want out of a Fantastic Four title. This is close as far as what I want out of a Wolverine book. I think it's turning into a pretty solid little title, and I'm fairly happy with it. The only thing is, I'm a little worried they're going to get cute with Rogol Zar me on this one.
Oh no!
Because it has to do with the origins of adamantium. And how they might, in fact, be more either supernatural, or spiritual, or, who knows, even alien. We don't know yet. But there's more than meets the eye, like Transformers, to adamantium than we've ever known before.
Everything we thought we knew
is wrong.
Was wrong. The Marvel method.
But still, it's been, and you joked last time I brought up a Wolverine book. Do they have Kid Wendigo in there? He's still in there, man. And it's not half bad. He's become like Wolverine's sidekick. He's his he's his airwave, I guess.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I definitely think this is so far 5 issues in, pretty good read. So I like it far more than Ultimate Wolverine #1. I can tell you that, folks.
Yeah, we talked about Aquaman and seminal runs in Aquaman. I'm pretty sure I own every single issue of Wolverine, and I'm trying to think of a run of Wolverine that I could go back to and be like, that was good. And I can't.
Wolverine's a tricky thing. I think with the inner child aspect of it, looking through the kid's eyes from when you were 12 or whatever. I mean, everybody remembers that volume where you had Joe Fixit with Patch on the cover.
Sure, that was the early volume 2.
Okay,
if we're counting the mini as volume 1.
And was that, I don't know if that was a Larry Hama issue or not.
I think it was Peter David.
Was that Peter David? Anyway.
I think so.
But still,
Hama came on later on.
Okay, I can't recall.
Because it had no set creative team for a while.
Okay.
Claremont did some, Pad did some, I think Louise Simonson did some. It was jumping around a lot.
Okay. But I mean, I couldn't tell you now if that issue was any good. But if I see it in the wild, I buy it because it's got Joe Fixit on the cover. And I remember reading that when I was 12 years old and thinking, oh, this is the best thing since freaking fried salami. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm trying to think back. Okay, let's define a good run that's just straight up good. I liked Eric Larson's stuff. He did for a little bit there, but
Where it wasn't even Wolverine.
I'm not talking. Yeah, he's right, but I'm still talking.
It was a scroll.
Talking about the body of work as a whole. You know, there's a couple good issues there I enjoyed. There was a good crossover here, there. So what is the definitive all-time? Is it the original Frank Miller, Chris Claremont stuff? I don't know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, is it Old Man Logan? Is it Enemy of the State? The adamantium getting sucked out? Wolverine in Hell? They're just really...
How about Stumpy Wolverine from the Age of Apocalypse?
Oh, with the Weapon X.
The Weapon X, where you just got the
one hand
stump. Yeah, he could have called up Aquaman surgeon and asked for a water
one.
one.
Get a hook or a water hand.
Instead he decided to opt against it so you could get that grand reveal of the claws coming through the stump. Yeah.
Did it?
I believe it did, yeah. It's been many years since I read those, but I'm pretty sure those, like, you know, the angrier Wolverine gets, the less stumpier his stumpy gets. And the claws just came through. It's like, oh, snap! Wolverine's really pissed off now. We didn't even realize he still had those. We just thought that was a coffee can.
Where does he keep them?
Yeah, right, exactly.
He's not wearing a glove.
But yeah, that's a great question. Because, you know, I've always struggled with that, too. It's like, can you pinpoint 10 issues, 12 issues that define the character? And I'm always like, well, okay, well, this is the easiest example for me to think of. The Hulk. There's Peter David's run. Which part? Well, there's significant chunks to all of it. I mean, we can talk about the Ground Zero stuff, but we can also talk about Ghost of Future Past. You know, whatever, the Pantheon. Yeah. But the thing is, because there might have been some weak stuff, you know, as joints between those nice solid arcs, you just consider the whole thing a masterpiece.
Sure. I mean, that's just how comics used to be told.
Yeah, you know, so it's tough. It's like, well, what is the definitive Namor run for me?
Bill Jemas.
Slow your roll there, champ. But I would have to say John Byrne.
Byrne was
there's
good.
an issue from his original run that I loved in the 70s starring Slime Thing, but that was a single issue. I mean, it was silly, it was stupid. But I would have to go back to, John Byrne writing and drawing, cross-hatching like nobody's business, Namor back in the 90s. I mean, it's just... Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a tough thing to pinpoint. It's a tough thing to really identify. For me personally, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody out there who's like, "Yeah, dude, Wolverine 49 through 62. You know, that was the best thing ever. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Why are you on YouTube right now, moron?" I don't know. You know.
You think you know Wolverine?
Yeah. Think again. Coffee can. Snick it.
There you go. You're through your books now.
New books. I do have a back issue I'm going to talk about later that you teased. I wasn't even sure we were going to talk about it today, but now I have to.
Now we have to.
Because you opened your yapper.
Yeah, because Superman eats a chili dog in it. We got to talk about it. My last book.
Yeah, all right.
Tech.
Hey, there we go. More bat action.
Yes. This is getting very, very formulaic. As Chris, you pointed out last time, it is a callback to the Venom deal from Legends of the Dark Knight. Bruce is being injected with the stuff that's keeping him young, basically. And then all these homeless boys are showing up or winding up dead. So one thing leads to another. It's all very, very predictable. I'm hoping that we get some sort of a shoe drop in the coming months. Yeah, I don't know how much longer this arc is going to go, but I'm hoping for a little bit of a surprise. I'm not confident there will be, though. But there's always that Joe Chill reveal that we're waiting for, too. But I enjoyed it. It just... it's not blowing my mind as much as the first one did.
So we can just say ho-hum.
Ho-hum is a good way of putting it, yeah.
So Joe Chill is going to be like the Pearl in Aquaman. He'll be like, hey...
He might be.
Remember that Joe Chill bit from 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here it comes again.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, well, that's kind of a bummer because, you know, there was a lot of excitement, especially from you and Chris when that first issue it dropped. You guys were like, man, Tech is where it's at, baby.
Yeah. And now it's just kind of falling into a formula where it's like you shouldn't feel like you're smarter than Batman in his own book. Like we're making connections here and Batman's like, let me think about this. Like, no, dude, it's obvious. Then again, maybe it's a subversion, and maybe I'm completely off my nut. Wouldn't be the first time, but
Well,
it seems like it's definitely going one way. Maybe there'll be a surprise in there. I don't know.
well, rather than Green Arrow or Aquaman calling upon Batman for his advice, Batman should be calling you.
He might be, might be, or at least maybe he can call Aquaman.
Yeah. What is
Maybe he'll call Namor.
what does consumer cellular look like when it's part of a conch? That's what I want to know. That's the interesting thing here.
Ted Danson can hear the ocean.
Yes, he can. He can. All right, so you teased it. Let's get to it. I got a couple back issues, but I am a complete and utter sucker for a Bronze Age cover of ridiculousness. And listen, like, colors appeal to me a lot. Like, I like yellow covers and pink background covers, like these solid.
Sure.
And there's an issue of Action that called out to me like a what would be like a desperate thing. Give me a scenario where it'd be like something calling out to you, like, a desert needs the rain, or come on, help me out here.
An angel needs a bell to ring.
Okay, Clarence. But anyway, this one, the moment I saw it, and I wasn't familiar with it, despite liking the villain, and that was Action Comics number 469 from cover date March 1977 with Terra Man. And Yeehaw! And Terra Man here.
Or Wahoo!
He's actually on this cover, and he's riding Superman like a horse.
A bucking bronco.
He is bucking him like a bronco. And as a matter of fact, he even says that in the blurb here. Doggone if you ain't the most rambunctious bronc I ever rode, Superman, but I aim to break you. Woo-hoo! And, I mean, what's not to love about this cover? Do you like this cover?
I
you
do.
see?
Very much.
It's very cool. I love like I said, the color scheme on it. I like everything. I think this is Garcia Lopez, as a matter of fact, on art on the cover. I don't know if he's credited in the front, but I can almost swear it was.
Yeah, it doesn't look Swanee.
No. This is definitely not Swanee at all.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, this calls out to me. But then it made me think. I stopped for a moment, and I was like, man, maybe I've been unfair to a certain comic creator out there, because there was a run of Action that I've publicly gone on record saying I was not fond of for many reasons, and that was the Philip Kennedy Johnson run of Action. And because I considered it the equivalent of comic book watching paint dry. Like, it was just so slow, it took forever, and it was basically a knockoff on the Exile storyline taking place on War World with Mongol and everything else like that. But one thing that was a complaint throughout comic fandom was there was some kink shaming that went on in that book. I think we even talked about it because we're like, you don't need to see that. Like,
the closet full of tools.
There was like a closet with his War World garb, which was like chains and stuff. Yeah. And Lois is like, yeah, you're gonna put that on later, Clark. Haha. And we're like, Jesus, what is going on here? And even John's like, Mom, Dad, come on now, you're scarring me for life. But I mean, this cover being slightly suggestive, if you actually looked within the issue itself, Kurt Swan and Carrie Bates. Thank you very much, Carrie Bates. I was trying to transition, so I screwed up my brain waves there. Carrie.
If it's a 70s Superman book, 90%
Carrie
of it
Bates.
is going to be Carrie Bates.
I know.
And 110% will be Kurt
Oh,
Swan.
Jesus, you ain't kidding. But yeah, Carrie Bates, the master of writing Superman back in that era. If you even look on this inside panel, it's a little suggestive, man. I don't know what I bought here. I mean, really, here we have Terra Man being rushed through the sky over Superman's shoulder, and he says, "Yep, Superman, looks like you really got me hogtied this time, don't it?"
Boots off and
Boots
everything.
are just flapping in the breeze there, and then Superman goes, "I wonder what he has in mind." Whoa, now, take it easy, slow down. But yeah, quite the issue. This is some steamy stuff. But yeah, no, this is one of the back issues I picked up, and I jest and everything, but come on now. Action Comics, Superman. There we go. That's what I gotta say about that.
I like it. I like it.
I like it. I actually was just watching RoboCop the other day.
Never
Well,
seen
I
it.
know you never have, which is a shame because RoboCop is actually a very powerful film. And you would think RoboCop, how cheesy, how stupid. It's a cop in a suit
Wearing a garbage
wearing
can.
a garbage can. There we go. Yeah, he's a cyborg. I mean, come on now. But it makes many social. Has a lot of social commentary on it. Speaking of the '80s, and would speak to the attitudes of Guy Gardner and what was the other character's name in Batman again? Agent or General Glory or what was it?
One of those things. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no.
Sergeant Generic.
There we go. But RoboCop, yes. And there's a line in the movie, I like it, which is a famous line. So when you said that, it immediately sparked in my brain.
There you go.
What was happening here. So now I have spoken while I set things up, rather than take a sip of coffee and watch you go mute. What would you say, or would you be willing to talk about a couple action figures that I picked up this week?
Okay.
Because I pre-ordered them. They finally arrived from our Lord and Savior Amazon. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. And they are both of the DC variety because they also come from McFarlane Toys. First up, and I actually got, what I was queuing up was pictures of these things because I know I tend to get a lot of glare when I show these things on my camera. So let me kind of...
The Incredible Hulk?
No, it's not the Incredible Hulk, you silly goose. It's Swamp Thing. And this Swamp Thing, as a matter of fact, is part of a new line known as Todd's Mods, which are supposedly based on some renderings or drawings by Todd McFarlane of his versions of these characters. This series in particular, I believe the first set is 3. It's going to Swamp Thing, Batman, and Bane.
Okay.
One thing you can say about all 3 of these releases is tiny heads. So take that, Liefeld or Liefeld, man. You can't draw feet. Well, apparently Todd McFarlane, when coming up with Todd's Mods, couldn't draw heads. Looks more like a pimple on the neck that needs to be popped.
He was cursed.
Yeah, apparently so. Okay, so listen, you guys can see it on the screen, making your own judgment right now. It looks like a fairly articulated little figure. It's only about 4.5 inches tall. It doesn't come with a base, so it can't really stand up on its own, especially because one of Swamp Thing's legs are arched. My main issue with this, and this is the review, the official review I'm giving it. Are you familiar with the chain Five Below?
Yes.
Okay, if you've ever been into Five Below, wandered in a little area where they sell toys, there's a lot of cheap knickknacks, Funko Pops, things of that nature.
Okay.
This seems absolutely fitting to be on the shelf at Five Below for just that, $5 or below. But Todd McFarlane and sucker me, stupid old swampy me, paid DC multiverse prices. So this, with tax, everything else, came to about 16 smackaroos.
Okay, that's better than I thought.
What do you think it was going to be?
I thought it was going to be over 20.
Really? You know what I should have done with you? I should have done the price guide is right.
Price guide is right.
With that for you. You know what? Maybe I'll do that for the next one. How does that sound?
Okay. Let's do it.
You know, a little role reversal here.
I like it.
I like it. But I wish I had that queued up. If you'd only known you'd be saying it.
We're gonna need it.
Numerous times per episode. But here, just a quick look at the box. There's some drawings there, what have you. And really, like I said, it wouldn't be such a bad fig if it was $5. Because you can't do anything with it. You can't pose it. It's like a little 4.5-inch statue. And it's
like those old PVCs we used to get before action figures were a thing.
And speaking of Gary Gygax...
And those had bases.
Right. Gary Gygax in DC Dungeons and Dragons, you had mentioned earlier, like you said, the little miniatures. It feels like something you would have painted and put on a little board and been like, I sunk your battleship.
You must not pay.
Yeah. Exactly. Nice try at a movie reference there, buddy boy. But now... I don't know. Here's the funny thing, and this is how the sausage is made. I mentioned to Chris that I was going to be talking about these on air, and I sent him a picture of both figs that I was going to be discussing today, and I was so shocked and so alarmed that he said the Swamp Thing figure was the finer of the two. Hold on. Slow down. Because the next thing I want to talk about is this one. This is the Superman 78 fig, which is based on the comic Superman 78 by Robert Venditti. And I forget the artist's first name, so I apologize. Torres, who has a very retro style about it, if you can tell, because it comes included with the comic, issue number 1. And that there was a sequel to this, The Metal Curtain, with Superman 78 run. And the first one wasn't half bad. Not much to see here, but sometimes that's all you need. As I've mentioned before, it doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It just has to be a decent, solid Superman adventure, which Superman 78 was. Now, Superman 78 is a movie franchise held near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, starring Christopher Reeve. And they kind of double-dipped on this, because not only did they release this fig that's based on the comic, but they're also releasing a Superman...
The one you canceled, right?
But I reordered.
Okay.
I'm going to get in so much trouble, man. Oh, thank God I got a separate bank account, man. I did. I saw it available, and I put in another reorder. But I did initially cancel it, going, you know what? I don't like the elbow joints on this, and yada, yada, yada. I'm already getting this one. And to be honest with you, I love this one. I like these like sketch artist editions that you see, and this one is heavily based on the art from the comic. And so that's why you're going to get a lot of deep shading and pencil lines and detail lines on it, as I'm showing on screen right now, of that face that you just hated so bad you threw a freaking tantrum over it.
I did. I cried.
I know, man. And to me personally, this looks like...
Kicked several dogs at
Really? Those poor pooches.
They shouldn't have gotten in my way.
I shouldn't have shown you this fig. So it looks like basically the same face, essentially, that's going to be on the Christopher Reeve Superman 78 figure, but they kind of like, you know how like some women paint on their eyebrows with like a Sharpie? They kind of did the same thing here and added some of those details that I was mentioning in those lines. I don't own a lot of artist editions, even though the fact I do enjoy them. I do happen to have a Jay Lee Superman that's one of those with all the shadows and everything put on it from that new 52 Batman Superman. Thank you. I almost said Superman Batman, but that
it might have been. You might be.
That'd be really inappropriate considering Batman is God. Sure. But anyway, your opinions aside, taste is subjective, and you have none.
Of course.
Okay.
Also true.
I love this figure. I like renderings of Superman that are not overly, and I know you're going to say 1% hypocrite. Dave, you love Ed McGuinness Superman, don't you? I do, and there's a time and a place for that. But I also truly enjoy these more slender versions. Of course, being based on the movie, it has to be that way. And I'm never going to open this, but it comes with an alarming amount of hands.
Where's Terraman?
Terraman he got left behind. He got bucked like a bronco. That's where he is.
I see one finger there.
Oh yeah, the other one's in Terraman. There's actually one holding a crystal here, and there's I wouldn't imagine anybody would need this many hands, but alas, we got them. And I love clamshell packaging because much like this Swamp Thing, if you buy DC McFarlane Multiverse, I said that out of order, but you get what I'm trying to get at because I'm so excited. I'm a grown man with toys. You get the cardboard with the plastic front. This is just clamshell all around with the comic. So it really, especially for an inbox collector, it gives you a lot of options as far as displaying the fig rather than having to like angle it a certain way so you can see through a small window. Yeah. So I am thrilled to death. And I had mentioned to you when I talked about canceling the other fig, I'm getting this one. I don't need the other one. This one's going to satisfy all my needs. Well, I got one thing to say to you, and it's not even a word. Can't help it, man. I'm addicted to plastic, bro. But yeah, dude, I love that fig. I really do. And it hurt my feelings when you were like, yeah, that face looks like garbage. I was like, come on, bro.
I think I used the word jank.
As if I even know what jank means. I
don't think anybody knows what jank means. I'm not
hip with it.
But you know it when you see it.
Okay.
I don't know art, but I know what I
know. Yeah, exactly. That's the second time you used that line on this show.
I know.
One more time.
I subverted it that time.
One more time.
Then Beetlejuice shows up.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Movie reference.
Dude, and the new movie was terrible.
My wife saw it. She said this.
Yeah, horrible. But anyway, those are the figs. Just to kind of recap real quick. Swamp Thing, little, I guess, to appeal to you, I guess a little ephemera style what have you, provided the price is right. Do not pay full price. Fellow Swamp Thing fans, beware. I can almost guarantee this is going to drop in price, despite the fact it says limited edition on the bottom, which is such a...
Limited to how many we can make.
Dude, exactly. What a cheap, stupid thing. Limited edition. Like, they do have some figs that say 3,000 pieces. We know this run was limited to this X amount. That whatever. And then...
Unless they put a figure on it, an actual numeral figure on it, you're safe.
I want to pose for this one. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. That's the last time that'll ever happen in my life. Hopefully my son wasn't watching. He's in school. I probably would have embarrassed him to death. He'd be like, what did my dad just do? What did he just sing?
There's no comments from him yet.
No.
So nothing about Geese's next.
Hopefully he's getting an education right now. That's all I can hope for.
Hopefully.
Not watching his middle-aged father singing about Barbies while holding a Superman figure next to his head.
There you go.
But hey, it's the internet. I can't erase it now. It's out there forever. It's going to like totally plague me.
You're never going to be able to run for president.
No, I don't think that matters anymore. But still, like, if I was trying to apply for a job, like a real job, they'd be like, okay, Mr. Schultz, your qualifications are impeccable. As a matter of fact, we think you're a fine candidate for the job, except for this wee video clip we have here.
Can you explain
this? Are you truly a Barbie girl living in a Barbie world? I don't believe you are. I'm sorry. We're going with a different candidate.
You can't lie.
Yeah. No, you just can't. So anyway, those are the figs I got this week. So I hope you all enjoyed them, and they're mine. So I do like them as they go up behind. I got so much stuff. I got stuff in cabinets over here. Stuff in boxes in the other room. When will I stop? Like,
yeah, I don't. This is the only view of the room I've ever seen, so I don't know what the rest looks like. So it's I don't know.
And you never will.
I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, seriously though, I have things in storage, like figures. Like, I don't have enough room in the world to store all my figs and stuff. I would need like
a basement or an
attic. Legitimately again, like like a floor
warehouse.
Well, slow down, but still, I would definitely need something of significant square footage to fully display all of my stuff. So
absolutely,
there we go.
Now, you're addicted to plastic. I'm addicted to ephemera.
Yes.
So I did come across some old magazines when I was out and about.
Were they published by Bob Guccione? Or Bob Guccione?
No. Bob Guccione. Guccione.
Yes.
No, but they are... they're not great, but they are weird, so I picked them up.
Okay.
One here is a Marvel catalog from 1998 where John Byrne talks about taking Spider-Man back to basics.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes, and he's interviewed in here, and this is Spider-Man Chapter 1.
Yes.
Absolute piece of crap. And the interviewer asks, what do you think of Spider-Man? He goes, I don't know. I haven't followed it since he got married.
Okay.
So he's the perfect guy.
Yeah.
To retell Spider-Man's origin.
There we go.
You know, especially coming from the guy whose idea of taking the Hulk back to basics was getting him married.
Okay. You could have grabbed John Q. Public off the street and he would have given you the same answer as John Byrne did. Really? You know?
Possibly. And you do get this really extreme picture of Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti.
I remember that one. I do.
Yeah. Because comics were badass with like 4 S's and a Z.
That's some big ass chins right there.
It's true.
Jay Leno, look out.
Look out. That's the other one I got here. It's a magazine I've never heard of before. And there's probably a good reason for it because it is British. And it is quite bad. Comic Heroes, number 8. Now, this one here, it's funny. I don't know what the exchange rate was back in 2011, but how much do you think this magazine cost American dollars?
Oh, boy.
It's this thin.
Okay.
It's very thin.
All right, let me see. So I got to guess the price.
American dollars.
You know what? It just reminded me of. I never asked you what you thought the Superman figure cost. So we'll get back to that after. We'll get back to that because I don't want to. But I am playing the Price Guide is Right music. I think it is $5.99.
Higher.
Really? $8.99.
Higher.
$12.
Higher.
Well, there go my 3 guesses.
There's your 3 strikes. Let me see. I don't know if this will show up on the screen here.
I can't really read it. What does it say? Just tell me. Tell me.
It is $18.99.
American?
Yes.
Holy moly.
Like I said, I don't know what the exchange rate was with the UK back in 2011. Ye old 2011.
Wow.
$19 for this. And it's not good.
Hey, even in its heyday, wasn't Wizard like the most ever, like $7.99 or something?
I think it was like 5 or under. I think it was 5 below.
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
I mean, I don't think it ever went much higher than that. But yeah, $19.
Wow.
For this crap.
Holy wow.
And yeah, and it's the right. It's very very amateurish. It's basically like take all your internet like top 40 worst Rob Liefeld drawing type things, all like put on other topics. Not great. But it's ephemera that comes with ephemera. And I told you that this thing is it's pretty It's a Superman patch, but it's got like the trademark and copyright on the front of the patch.
Yeah.
So if you're going to put this on your denim jacket, it's not just going to be the Superman logo. It's going to be the copyright and trademark too, right there on the front of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could see that they kind of have to put it on there, but you think they put it like on the bottom at like an angle or something? I don't know, man. Right on the top.
Or tiny.
Yeah, smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. So so your denim jacket's going to look kind of dorky.
Huh.
If you put that.
I think it already did.
Possibly.
I really do.
Well, the tassels weren't great.
No. Bad choice with the tassels. Yeah. I mean, I used to have a leather
jacket,
a jean jacket with patches like Suicidal Tendencies and different bands on it. I thought it was a cool dude. But I mean, copyright TM, you're just supporting the establishment, bro.
That's it, man. You got to fight the power.
You got to fight the friggin' power. Yeah. I mean.
So that's my ephemera.
Now, how much did you pay for that magazine?
I think it was $1.99.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even then you feel ripped off.
I almost left it.
Really?
I almost left it. Yeah, because I didn't know what to expect from it. And, I mean, it's neat to have some of the commentary in there, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
Well,
not so
earlier
good.
I asked, for you to come up with some kind of interesting way to say like a siren song to lure me in.
Sure.
What did it for you? What made you go back and pay the $1.99 for it? The patch?
FUMU. No, I didn't even know the patch was in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it was like I've never seen an issue of Comic Heroes before. I probably never will again. So it's like, I probably should just get it.
Okay.
Yeah. And, the Marvel catalog here with the Byrne thing, I did that weird little project with the Byrne Mackey run that I never finished. And it's always in the back of my head. It's like, I could finish that someday.
Okay.
I probably never will. But that's the treadmill in me. Just it refuses to die. So it's always a little voice like, oh, you can write about this.
Yeah. That little nagging voice in the back of your head. It's like, I must make a project out of everything.
Basically.
Wow.
Basically.
Well, you bought it, so we didn't have to, which is
that's true.
My slogan for just about everything. In one, you morph it a little bit, you throw in a little bit of this, you take out a little bit of that, and it still applies to whatever the hell you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
So real quick, because I just love pushing buttons so much. Did you want to take a stab at this? Hold on, let me get the music going. The screen still says ephemera on it, but you know what? Whatever. We're a couple hours.
Figures are ephemera.
In a way, yeah. So, how much do you think this cost me? $30. You are too high.
Ooh, that's a good surprise.
We didn't give a range though. Let's say within $3.
Okay. 25.
You know what? It was $24 and change.
There you go.
Yes. It only took you a couple stabs at that. You should be buying action figures yourself.
I don't have room nor the budget.
Says the guy who I was just mocking earlier for spending all that money on frickin' WordPress.
Yeah, I mean, but I only feel that like once a year.
Okay.
And then I regret it every time.
Once you see it in your bank statement,
it's like, God, I didn't cancel that.
Oh, well. You know what? I think future reference, we should shame you if that ever happens again, and you will have to sing Barbie Girl holding something in your office, face close to the camera as I did. There we go.
Vartox?
Vartox works. There we go. You can just there you go.
I think that's the only plastic version of Vartox ever.
You know what? You might be right. The HeroClix one. You might, in
Mm-hmm.
fact, be correct. Now, speaking of only one in existence, very limited
Mm-hmm.
edition, unlike the Swamp Thing figure, they broke the mold when they created this. We're talking about our good friend Chris Yu. He
Hey,
sent us
yeah.
correspondence as he always does because he is the invisible third member of this program. I guess he's
Mm-hmm.
the physical embodiment of the chili dog to Bada Bin, right? But alas, he sent us some correspondence. Would you like to dig into that a little bit? What do you
Yes, I
say?
just need to get to the right email
That
box
is like me
here.
drinking coffee. I gave you no prep,
It's all
no
good
heads up
here. Okay.
whatsoever.
Now, let's see here. Let me make sure my bad eyes can read
I'm sure
this.
you can. You can do it. Yay! We support you. Us.
There we go. Okay. There we go. My Irish eyes are blind.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, the Bada Bin Show. First, I would like to tell Chris. Oh
Oh
no.
no!
Haoli wa aiko manawa mai kiai ma Hawaii.
Is he having a stroke? Someone grab a wallet and shove it in his mouth.
Shove it in my mouth here. I don't want to swallow my tongue. Which Google Translate tells me that I'm glad you had a good time in Hawaii. But enough of me trying to get Chris to pronounce words in Hawaiian. Let's bada babble.
Okay, sounds good.
And that was a mouthful. The Hawaii trip sounded amazing. My wife has family in the military who spent a few years stationed in Hawaii, and from their tales of the humidity and the bugs, she never wanted to go. But after her listening to Chris's vacation story, she's second guessing that decision. She doesn't do well with high humidity, so our dream trip has always been a cruise to Alaska to see the glaciers. It was supposed to be our honeymoon trip oh so long ago, but we spent our vacation money on a down payment for our house. Someday we'll make it to Alaska, and now maybe even Hawaii. I'd recommend it. I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot more reasonable than I thought it was going to be. It was we spent more money going to Seattle, which is weird.
Yeah, even though maybe you can help me with this. Is I've recently heard someone say like you'll see cheap flights on Bermuda or wherever, and the
Hmm.
flights are in fact cheap, but then the
Sure.
hotels are astronomically high. Was
The hotel was reasonable
okay.
for the as we stayed at a resort. There are hotels that aren't resorts that are. It was like when we were looking. I mean, there were places that were like under $100 a night.
Okay.
So it's very reasonable. The tickets, like I said, was cheaper than going to friggin' Seattle, which is
Yeah, it
weird.
is weird.
Yeah, and I did try some local Kahlua pig
Oh,
right
update.
after our episode on Friday.
Hmm.
It was okay. It was okay. It had elements of the on the island stuff. It was good. I'd have it again, but definitely not exactly what I
The
wanted.
Soich continues.
It does indeed, and I had a shrimp, not a shrimp, a spam masubi the other day at the local Shave Ice
You should get that
place.
checked.
I should, and it was quite good, surprisingly. We even made them for dinner last night.
Dude,
Molded them into the masubi. We're worldly.
you guys are
We're
hooked,
broadening our
man. You guys,
horizon.
it's like
Yeah,
unbelievable. Well, hey, if it
yeah,
works, it works. You know what I mean?
yeah. And we talked to the fellow there at the Shaved Ice place because he's from the small town on the North Shore we went to, and we're like, hey, where can you? He's like, where can you send us to get good Kahlua pig? And he's like, come to my house. And we're like, we will. He said I can't really recommend a place locally because there's nothing like it.
Why don't you make
It's
it
like, well,
here, guy?
we told him that, and he's like, you know what? That'd be really easy, and it would sell. He's
Yeah.
like, I might do that.
Rather than
So he
inviting
might.
strangers to your home. I mean,
Yeah, we're nice people.
yeah. Well, not you. I'm saying he could be like the Craigslist killer or something. We don't know.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
we may never come
That's
back.
that's a real Kahlua pig. It's you in the ground, fool.
There we are. We're putting there and smoked
Mhm.
for 20
Boy,
hours.
this Kahlua pig tastes great. That's because it's Chris. Oh,
It tastes very ephemeral.
yes, it does.
Bam. Now, back to Chris here.
Yes.
I looked into the Dan Slott Superman series. The announcement doesn't wow me. I find that every Kryptonite story has already been told. I just hope he does a better job on Superman than the other writers who gained fame at Marvel and then moved to DC to write Superman. JMS was strike one, Bendis was strike two, and I hope Slott is not strike three. That's a good way of putting it, isn't it?
Yes, even though my immediate thought, since I was just talking about Wolverine and the adamantium thing with the adamantine,
Sure.
like, who knows? Maybe there's supernatural aspects to Kryptonite that we haven't explored yet.
Possibly.
You know, its origins and everything else like that. So, you know what? No, there's more Kryptonite stories to be told.
Fingers crossed. But
No.
I didn't conceptualize it the way Chris did,
Okay.
with the three strikes here from the Marvel writers. Because JMS, he wrote the worst Superman story ever put to paper. I mean, you could find first graders fan fiction that's probably better than Grounded was. At least that first issue of Grounded, which was so far up its own ass. It was terrible. Bendis, I felt like I was speaking out of turn with Bendis because I didn't really experience much of it because I dropped it so quick. I didn't drop it so quick. I stopped reading it so quick. But I did try reading the Truth storyline. And I think I was texting with you when I did it. And wow, that was bad. That was some terrible, terrible stuff.
Yeah.
Like I almost couldn't believe what I was reading. You know, it's beyond bad. So I hope Slott's not gonna follow suit.
Well, there was an
I guess we'll
announcement
find-
today. They're doing a one-shot special. Yeah.
huh?
So,
Yeah.
and it's going to be Slott, Wade, and Williamson working together.
Why Wade?
I don't know, because he's got to be everywhere. Again, 50% of the
So
job.
if Slott were to write that, would someone reach out to him on Twitter and be like, "Hey, you really should have gotten Mark Wade's approval before you wrote that story"?
I don't know. Maybe because
Maybe it's the world's finest.
that, or because Action is like a
JLP.
rotating creative team thing. I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good question. I don't have a good answer to. I can only speculate and
Yeah.
assume. And you know, when you assume, what happens?
We're usually right.
Ah, yeah. I wish.
Chris continues. I think the first issue frenzy over Geiger number 10 is just artificially created excitement. First appearances don't matter when they happen. First appearances only matter years later after the character becomes popular. The first appearance of Squirrel Girl was worthless until she became popular 20 years later. Don't get sucked in by first appearance hype. And there's a lot of truth to that, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, low-key sort of first appearances are kind of where it's at. You know, one of the books that I bought for cover price not too terribly long ago was West Coast Avengers number 10, I think it was, or 7. It was whatever the first appearance of Jeff the Landshark was. The character nobody knew or cared about until he kind of became a meme, where now that book is, you know, $100. Because it's years later, he got popular. People want to go back in time and grab the first appearance. All these ones where it's like, hey, this is the first appearance of Girl Geiger. I don't know. Maybe come back in 5 years, and if there's a Girl Geiger Netflix series,
Yeah,
maybe
well,
it'll be a thing.
You read my mind. Because, interestingly enough, my son, who doesn't read comics, knows who Jeff the Landshark is.
There you go.
Because he plays a video game, Marvel Rivals, I think it is. It's like their kind of Fortnite thing out there in the universe. And apparently Jeff is a playable character. So,
Well, there you go.
And you positive it's $100?
I saw it for $100. I mean, it's worth $100.
Okay.
Do we need to? I think we can go to. Let's go to comic book. Whatever. The
here we go. I'm not going to hit the button
Play
again.
it
I've already
here.
hit the Price is Right button twice. You know what? 3 times the charm.
There you go. What is it? Comic book realm. There we are. And we're going to look for West Coast Avengers and volume 3. Okay, number 7.
Okay.
Okay, and it only has one cover, believe it or
Wow.
not. A book with a 2019 cover date with one cover. All right. West Coast Avengers, Volume 3, Number 7, cover dated March 2019. How much is it worth? Within 20
Okay.
bucks.
2 things. First, you implied it was probably around 100. And then second, within a $20 buffer means it must be up there.
It's up there.
Okay. I'm trying to read your face. Let's see here. No, you're stone cold. Damn you. Damn you. $125.
Low.
I'm low?
You're low.
Wow. $150.
Bing.
Oh,
You got it.
great. Wow. 150
$150.
smackarooskies?
The only issue of that entire run that's worth anything.
Wow. Do you have a Jeff the Land Shark action figure?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, it came with a character from a Deadpool movie, I think, that I don't know.
Okay. All right.
but it came with it, and it's an ugly figure. It doesn't look anything like him. It looks like a shark with feet, but it's not cute like Jeff the Land Shark
Okay.
is.
All right. Wow. Holy moly.
And I also have I don't know if I'm on camera here.
You are.
Here.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Deadpool holding Jeff the Land Shark. Where are we? There we are.
Yeah.
There he is.
You know,
A hero click.
that's one of those things, I don't flip comics. I don't sell comics. I get high on my own supply.
Sure.
That's like one of those books where I'm like, man, I kind of wish I had bought that one when it came out, because that's something that I care nothing about. I'm sorry. I don't know Jeff the Land Shark from,
A hole in
from
the
Bruce
wall.
from Jaws. But yeah, like I could have totally been like, hey man, you want to buy this for $75? And I would have turned $3 into $75 because I don't have any emotional attachment to it. No sentiment,
There you go.
nothing. It's just blank.
Yeah.
I'm really just like a serial killer right now. I have no emotion whatsoever. You know what I mean?
You just need to let Jeff in.
I sure do.
Is all. Yeah.
I really do.
But yeah, Girl Geiger, come back in a few years. Maybe it'll be worth something. Like didn't we do Spider Boy not too long ago, and it was like down to like $20 or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
The first appearance of Spider Boy, but like when that first came out, it was triple digits.
Yeah.
It's like the hype is fleeting. It's very, very fleeting.
Yeah.
Hit it and get your
And
money.
you nailed it. Like, wait for the series to be announced. I know Geiger
Sure.
was in the works to become. I want to say it was Netflix.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be something.
But
I'm sure
it
it'll
made
be something.
news. Like, Geiger is being developed by this studio to be on a streaming service. Yada yada. And boom, there you go. It rises up, and now I think it's
Probably before the first issue.
no, but it leveled back out. I think, but
Sure.
yeah, it all it needs is a little bit of hype. You sprinkle a little hype into that, a seasoning.
Some real hype.
Well, define real hype.
Something that's already hit the shelves.
Okay, all right. But I'm saying, like,
Something that's actually scarce
Right.
because it's out there and people own
yeah,
it.
yeah, I follow you. But I was going to say, is you not being someone who, follows movies
Like
or
to give a
TV.
shit,
Exactly. Like, so to say it's going to be a Netflix series,
But I know that I'm an outlier.
yeah. But, like, for you, that would still, be considered genuine hype.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah. Back to Chris Yu. He says, I find that I'm more drawn to DC than Marvel as well. Every modern title that I've tried in the past year has been a DC. All the digital trades of older comics I bought are DC. I don't know why, but Marvel just doesn't interest me right now. And that's something me and Reggie used to talk about. Like when DC would be firing, Marvel would be garbage. And vice versa. When Marvel would be firing on all cylinders, DC would just be crap. I don't know why it seems, and maybe it's just being too close to things. I'm trying to remember a time where they were both firing on all cylinders, and like maybe right before the turn of the century. What say you?
It's hard for me to say only because I can really align it the most with the first time I had spending power. And,
Same here. Yeah, turn of the century.
Yeah, exactly. So the early 2000s when I was still single, just all my money went to just,
Cheap rent.
yeah, just buying comics, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
when I was really, dude, my pull list was, out of this world.
Obscene.
Dude, it was obscene. You're right. I was trying to avoid saying obscene because I was afraid I was going to fumble that again. But yeah, it was obscene. And yeah, dude, I'll always have a soft spot for that era. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the same boat, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like Heroes Return era. I mean that era of DC was wonderful, leading into No Man's Land, the Berganza Superman stuff. I mean, it was a good time. Good time. back to Chris. He says, to answer Dave's question about the Mike Perkins art on the Atom Project, I don't think his art style works for this book. I find it to be too dark and shadowy. It reminds me of Luke McDonald's art. And I absolutely hated him when he drew Justice League of America, but absolutely loved him on Suicide Squad.
Okay.
The project needs to fit the art style. That's a very good point. Yeah, McDonald felt out of place on Justice League, but on Suicide Squad, it was like a book built for him.
Yeah, totally, man. I had a feeling. I really did. I was like, Mike Perkins is just not the right fit for that traditional superhero fare.
It's like throwing like Kelly Jones on
Oh, God. Kelly Jones, nice guy. And nobody loves...
I'm sure. And
what? What's that?
Great art in stories that are suited for it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I interviewed him a couple times on air, and like no one loves talking Kelly Jones.
You name drop a you.
Yeah. Well, hey, no one loves talking Kelly Jones more than some Kelly Jones. You know what I mean? It's the old Terrell Owens, like, you know, nobody loves me more than me kind of thing. I just misquoted that. I'm sorry, but still, like he would go, man, and it was, you couldn't stop him. It was a freight train of Kelly Jones talking Kelly Jones. And I like him. Like I said, he was a sweet guy, nice guy and everything, but his art style is so genre specific.
Oh, yeah.
It's yeah, really. But that was a great comparison to use, I think.
Yeah. I remember with the Action Comics Weekly Dead Man series, the first bit of that was drawn by Dan Jurgens. And the second part was drawn by Kelly Jones. It's like very different.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Very, very different. Chris continues. You talked about Free Comic Book Day issues not mattering. I remember back in the early 2000s, the small publisher Heroic Graphics published a title called Flare Adventures, a guilty pleasure title for me. Heroic Graphics' Free Comic Book Day issue was Flare Adventures number 13, the regular monthly issue of their highest-selling title for free. If you didn't get it on Free Comic Book Day, you had a hole in your collection. You missed an issue of the actual ongoing series. I wish at least the big two would do something like that every year. And that'd be an interesting one because, I mean, we're in the age of flippers now, right?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, but I don't want him to do that as a Free Comic Book Day thing.
No,
like you mentioned, the flippers, the fact that like you've got to be there on a certain day to get that issue. We're already kind of close enough with that, as you and I discussed last time, where the Free Comic Book Day issue is usually the launch of a series.
For an event?
Yeah, what have you.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to have that to get the full story, even if it's only like 4 or 5 pages. But to be a completist, you need it. So to say you need this issue to fill in from issue 8 through 10, you got to have that Free Comic Book Day issue, to me, is a little bit of a tough sell.
Yeah.
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand it. It add a lot of importance to it, significance to it, especially for the traditional person who reads and loves comics for what they are. But yeah, just the whole kind of rigmarole around Free Comic Book Day is a little... I don't think it's the right spot for it now. Maybe 20 years ago. Maybe not in 2025.
Okay, here I'm looking at comicbookrealm.com.
Oh, here we go again. Don't make me push it again. Should I?
No, you don't have to push it. Well, you can if you want, but how much do they have Flare Adventures number 13 listed for in their price guide?
What's my buffer? 50 cents.
Yeah.
$1.99.
High.
I'm high? Well, thanks for letting the world know. I was trying to keep that a secret from everybody. That's what I do to be able to participate in this program. 75 cents.
High.
What? Stop it now. This is getting embarrassing. 25 cents.
It's worth 0.
Are you serious? They gave it a 0?
They gave it 0.
Wow.
Okay, now I got to go to eBay.
Well, I mean, they got to charge eBay. They got to charge something.
Yeah, but I want to see I want to look at sold ones.
Okay.
Here.
The shipping is like $8 and the thing costs 50 cents, right?
Right? Holy smokes.
Wow.
Where's sold listings here? I can't find sold listings. Oh, sold items.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Okay, none of them have sold. Okay, here's one that's listed for $2.75.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you know what to do. You can hop on eBay and you can be the ringmaster, the kingpin rather, of every freaking issue.
Flame Adventures number
There you
13.
go, man. You can have all of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Virtually for
This
free.
is from Cyberspace Comics, who has 100% rating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, all right. That's all I got to say about
Weird.
that.
Yeah. That's
I think
about
it'd make
the
it
size
more
of it,
exciting if I hit the button.
There you go.
All right.
I had to wait for you to stop dancing to know when the music was.
What is it?
I don't know. No, part of me would love that, but part of me would hate that. Like if there was a way that they can guarantee you're not going to miss out.
Yeah.
But there isn't, because flippers will go in and they'll grab great big globs of it. Because I don't know how well policed a lot of the shops are. I know some of them where it's like, okay, you can only take 2 and you need to show the 2 you're taking. And other ones are like, yeah, take whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's a toughie.
I do remember real quick. I don't remember the name of the issue, but there was a free comic. This is probably like 2 years ago. It was a Spider-Man book, and they had the Spider-Man from the PlayStation game on the cover with Peter Parker, I think it was. So don't strike me dead if I'm wrong. But anyway, that, like the day of Free Comic Book Day, people were flipping those for like $20 an issue.
Because wasn't like Blade's daughter in it or something?
Yeah,
like Blade's daughter's first
That's
appearance?
probably right. It probably is that one.
Yeah.
Or maybe Blade's daughter was an Avengers one?
Maybe.
Anyway, it was all around that same time period.
Sure.
So.
It was something. It was gimmicky. Yeah. Okay. Chris continues. The Fantagraphics Lost Marvels Free Comic Book Day release is promoting reprints of Marvel stories from Tower of Shadows and Marvel Premiere. I have long been hoping for a collection of the Marvel Bronze Age anthology series like Premiere, Spotlight, and Strange Tales, so I may need to check out Fantagraphics The Lost Marvels. And I thought that was very interesting and very unexpected. The sort of thing that I'm actually surprised they're doing in print. It's like I figured that'd be like make a big hullabaloo about it showing up on Marvel Unlimited or something. But to actually put it in print, that's interesting. And I think I'll definitely be checking that out as well, just if for no other reason than to support such a offbeat initiative.
Yeah, to me that strikes me as like a purist thing, which is very odd and unusual as a free comic book day offering.
Absolutely.
Because so many people are just they're gonna glaze right over that and go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, they're not going to care.
Yeah, whatever. Batman. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So there'll be stacks of those making desks more stable across America.
Yep, and getting French fry stains from under the driver's seat.
Right.
Chris wraps up with, I always have a great time watching the show and want to send a message to everyone else who watches, especially everyone who doesn't watch the show live. Drop a hello in the comments to Dave's Aunt Peg. Just type hello Dave's Aunt Peg in the comments and let her know you're here.
Your favorite foreign movie? Yeah, Peg.
It will come back to you.
That's right. Hey, Peg. What's up? Peg, hey, baby. And
there we
I mentioned I don't really have an Aunt Peg. She's a fictional character. Even though
she's part of the universe.
Yeah, she's part of the yeah, I was gonna say something to piss you off. I'm not gonna do it. Not a way to wrap up a show. No way. But I guess interesting fact is my mother's best friend, her name was Peg. So
was her full name Margaret?
I don't know. I didn't know. I knew of Peg. I've met Peg, but I didn't know Peg well enough to know what her full name is. Just Peg. I always assumed Peg was just like Peggy. Peg.
Yeah.
Peg. Her name's Peg.
Let's see here. I'm going through last episode's comments here because Chris, you did leave some.
Okay.
Let's see here. He says I would subscribe to a network-style streaming service like Chris described.
You say screaming service? You just turn. Ah!
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Chris asks if I got any gibbets for my Crocs in Hawaii, and no, I did not. I almost did at the Dole Plantation. There was a pineapple one, and I thought it might be fun to get, but I did not.
Good for the junk book or scrapbook or whatever it was.
The junk journal.
Junk journal. That's what your wife is putting together. Journal. Yes.
Let's see here. Thank you, Dave, for reminding me of the Roku channel. I discovered it a few years ago when I had COVID. I watched all of season 1 of Benson. I'm going to have to go see if they still have the rest of the series available. And I don't have the Roku channel, but I do, what is it? Pluto? Mm-hmm. Pluto TV. I remember like the joke back in the day of like on all the Cribs shows on MTV, like the rappers would have one TV set dedicated to playing Scarface 24 hours a day.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
it's like they'd go through them and they'd be playing Scarface 24 hours a day on this one TV. With me, it's the Bob Ross Joy of Painting is on a TV in my house 24 hours a day. A little less hardcore.
Yeah, yeah, for real. You know, and it shows your
Yeah.
personality.
It's true.
The rappers want to show
I'm a happy
they're
flower.
going 100%. They're hard. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Scarface, little Tony
I'm
Montoya.
nothing more than a happy little
There
tree.
you are. That's it, man.
Let's see. Chris continues here. If Daredevil is on part 16, those rights are no longer introductory. And it's actually part 17.
Ooh,
It's still going.
holy, wow.
Yeah. I find it interesting that Dan Slott is going to tackle kryptonite proliferation in the Superman. Haven't we seen that story before? Didn't that exist in the Silver Age? Didn't Byrne do away with kryptonite being everywhere in his reboot? Didn't Batman and Superman gather all the kryptonite on Earth in Superman Batman? I think so, but didn't the blurb say that it was going to call back to that run?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
To the Loeb McGinnis?
Oh,
or
yes,
was it
yes,
gonna
yes.
hit
Well,
as
no,
hard
no.
as that?
Right. I'm sorry for jumping in on you like that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, but that was your streaming service.
yes, it was.
It said it was going to have that same kind of vibe of
Okay.
of that era. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think it was
Okay.
specifically saying, excuse me,
Call back to the actual
story.
story.
Right, right. But it was going to have that
Gotcha.
same like impactful feeling to it.
Gotcha. He asked if we said uneducated sloth or an uneducated slot. Two T's. And I find Mark Perkins' art on the Atom Project to be adequate.
Okay.
He could tell a story through sequential art. I just don't care for the art style. It's too dark and shadowing. This might not be the project for him.
See, that's fair. That's a fair thing to waffle on. You can't just say,
Sure,
Mike
sure.
Perkins, you suck.
Yeah,
You
it's
stink.
just-
You no good. Hang up your pens and pencils, you bum.
Mhm.
It's like, nah.
Give it up.
This ain't the right avenue for you. You know what I mean? Not all of us are meant to be pilots or,
Sure.
name a profession.
And that's actually something we could put a pin in too. Talk about artists who were on books that they were not suited for.
And the,
That could be something to ponder
true. Indeed.
and discuss
Agreed.
at a later date.
Very much agree. Sticking a pin in that one.
More pins.
Yeah, we get so many pins, man. It's like freaking.
Voodoo dolls everywhere.
Well, I was gonna say acupuncture,
Oh yeah, that too.
but yes,
That too.
both.
I'm not feeling any relief.
Hey, I want to thank Chris Yu for his weekly participation
Absolutely.
in our program, whether it was the email or the comments he leaves on our videos. I suggest all of you try to do the same. It's a tough thing to live up to, especially when you sit in the bar with Chris Yu, but you can always reach us at badabinshow@gmail.com. Of course,
Indeed.
check out the comments on this video the moment it's done. Leave comments, Instagram, badabinshow. And I actually did open this up a Blue Sky, which is at badabin.
Don't know what that is.
It's like Twitter, man, just not Twitter. And
Oh.
I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it, but I was just goofing around one day and I opened it, so I figured I'd mention it.
Oh yeah, I think our friend Chris Bailey sent me like an invite link to that like a year ago, and I think I squatted Ace Comics on it or
Amen.
something, or Chris or X Lapsed or something.
I also want to thank Chris.
Yeah.
He responded via email. He gave a lot of good constructive criticism when he checked out those.
I didn't know if you wanted to read that on.
No,
the
we
air
don't
or
need to
not,
read
so
that
I-
on there because
yeah.
I'm taking that, I'm using it, I'm utilizing that information because I thought it was very helpful. I just wanted to say thank you on air for that because it was good to receive some feedback.
No, and he took a lot of time.
Yeah, on that fanfic. So good stuff. So thank you, Chris. You rule, we drool. End of story. Bzz. Yeah. Anyway,
And that's the bottom line.
that's the bottom line. And this is the point of the program where we start wrapping things up because I need to make some pasta. Yeah. Do I want to make pasta? No. If I don't make pasta, will I be sleeping on the couch? Yes.
Under the
You
couch.
see how that works? Yes, I'll be down there with the greasy French fries, as you mentioned, in the stack of the.
in a Harley Quinn comic from 2012.
There we go. My wife has a snack of always suggesting things to make or meals to prepare for my son when he comes home from school. And she gives me the entire list of ingredients. This is here, that is there, this is in the cupboard, blah, blah, blah. This is what you do. I'm not much of a cook. So it all basically boils down to, in the end, I nuke up some Hot Pockets. Merry Christmas, there you go. But today she gave me a recipe that is of the most simple ingredients, being tuna fish, pasta, and mayonnaise.
And heat.
And yes, heat is an important ingredient in this dish of tuna salad or tuna, whatever the hell you want to call it. What would you call that? Tuna pasta, pasta tuna, tuna salad,
I don't know.
whatever.
I don't know.
You know, I've given out the recipe before on our airwaves of my mac and cheese, which is delicious and delectable, but it is somewhat, labor intensive. So I don't feel like making that today, almost as much as I don't feel like making this tuna salad. But alas, being of the 3.5 ingredients, if I don't do so, I'm going to be in big trouble, man. Let me tell you.
Just say the dog ate.
The dog will eat anything. This dog is, I have to apologize too, I guess, for this wrap up for that banging earlier, because now they're done. So we could have saved the reviews for an hour later. I could have paused the show. I could have moved to another room. But instead I pressed on, giving you guys the nitty gritty on books while people were just...
You were reporting from a war zone.
Yeah, exactly. But it made me think of my dog, who's still napping over there in the corner and is, in fact, like the plot device to end the Phantom Zone storyline, a vacuum cleaner.
There you go.
Yeah. What else do you have to add? What's going on with you today? What's moving and shaking over there in the Zona?
Not a whole heck of a lot. Yeah, we're doing this today because I have a doctor's appointment on Friday, and not looking forward to that because I kind of let my diet go to pot during the holidays, so I'm sure my blood work is going to come in a little bit sweeter than usual. So not looking forward to getting yelled at the doctor, but got to do what you got to do.
Does your doctor really yell at you? You fat piece of
he gets
crap!
Annoyed. Yeah, he gets annoyed.
Really? Switch doctors.
Oh, yeah.
No. No.
Yeah, I did the depression matrix thing last time, and he's like, what's this shit? You want to kill yourself? I'm like, what? He's like, don't. I'm like, okay, sir.
Yeah. Grab your ankles. Yes, sir. Yes, Terraman. As you wish.
Yes. What do you have in mind?
Hey, what does he have in mind? Yeah. All right. So you're gonna get blood work done? Is that all that's happening to you, or was I more on the nose as far as the grabbing the ankles thing? Was there?
No, that's about it. I think.
You think you don't know yet?
I don't know yet.
You're hoping. Fingers crossed. All appendages tangled. Yeah. Waiting for Moon River. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope your blood work comes out okay.
Me too.
Hopefully you didn't catch some weird Kahlua pig virus or something.
It's possible. Yeah, it'd be worth it.
Yeah, we tapped your veins. All that came out was liquid Kahlua pig.
Smoke.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Smoke and banana.
There we go. You know what you're going to say? Just like comic book guy?
Worth it.
Life well spent. Life well spent. I actually joked with you.
Week well spent.
Yeah, privately in text, I was like, you're going to give up comics and just start hunting for the perfect Kahlua pig.
Might just.
To kind of reminisce on the trip you had merely a week and a half ago. So far away. Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, thoughts and prayers on your doctor's appointment, bro. That's it. That was, that you got nothing else going on today, nothing happening. I mean, I'm making pasta that's a little bit more exciting than...
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be making dinner at some point. I don't know what it's going to be yet.
Okay.
I make dinner every night. I don't know until we're there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Little Caesars myself, but God, don't take my blood. My blood must be, dude. Yeah, you know what? That's what we can do.
Syrup?
Yeah. You know what? That's what we can do. Whatever your results are, we should make this like a twofer. I go to the doctor same time you do. We look at each other's results, and you can always go, man, could be worse. I could be Dave. And it's totally going to make you feel better each and every time. You know what I mean? Just saying. Just an idea.
We can go arm in arm.
Yeah, maybe we can get a discount.
Yeah. Might be
like a discount like we do with our mail order comics. We save 30% off cover.
We're bundling.
Yeah, exactly. We're bundling on our blood work. What do you guys say? All right, with that, I think we should hit the road. I think we should get out of here because I got to go boil some water. It's going to take me a long time to figure out how to do that.
That is a tough.
All right, but I do want to thank each and every one of you for checking out the show, whether it's now, today, or in the future. We appreciate it.
Or in the past.
Or in the virtual hugs for all of you. Mm-hmm. And that's all I got to say about that. Chris, what are you going to add before I clip you off here?
See,
that might be an Urban Dictionary. Clip you off.